What's up guys, welcome back. This is Anime Crossover. You'll be watching What If Naruto Was a Game Developer in Marvel Season 2 Part 5. Now, let's begin. The Heavy Metal Upgrade Location. The Facility. Weapon Workshop Funds. $812,500. Act 1 Payout. Status. Crafting Tony Stark, Iron God, stood at the newly erected workstation in the War Room's corner. It resembled a jeweler's desk, but instead of diamonds, it was coated in depleted uranium. Standard rounds are obsolete, Tony murmured while disassembling his heavy sniper. If we're fighting submarines and juggernauts, we need stopping power. He brought up the bunker research menu. Unlock. Explosive rounds. Cost. $200,000, worth it, Tony said, tapping the screen. He reloaded a magazine with red-tipped cartridges. Peter. Tony threw a new scope at Peter, webhead. Thermal lens. Sees heat signatures through walls. You're our spotter. Hulk, Tony said, pointing to the enormous, revolving barrel assembly. For the minigun. Full metal jacket rounds. Shreds vehicle armor. Hulk. Green giant. Stroked the gun with fondness. Hulk likes shredding. The Avengers setup location. Los Santos International Airport, LSIA. Mission. Steal the Avenger. Target. A gigantic VTOL flying fortress. Enemy. Merryweather Security. Avon Hertz displayed the target onto the screen. To fight a submarine, we need air superiority, Avon stated. Merryweather has a prototype. The Mammoth Avenger. It's a tilt-rotor fortress. Vertical takeoff, turrets. Bombs. It's basically a flying tank. Where is it? Peter inquired. Inside the main hangar at LSIA, Avon explained. But be warned. The hangar has a backup generator, if you cut the power. It gets very dark. We have thermal scopes, Tony smiled, touching his rifle. We are the dark. The blackout location, LSIA hangar. Time. Midnight. Visibility. 0. They broke through the side door of the big hangar. Inside, the Avenger sat like a sleeping beast. Gray, angular, and massive. Go for the generator, Tony whispered. Peter shot the fuse box. Pop the lights failed. The hangar was plunged into utter darkness. Thermal on, Tony instructed. The world turned blue. The heat signatures blazed brilliant orange. Enemies detected. 20+. Merryweather guards scrambled through the darkness, their flashlights cutting futile beams through the gloom. They can't see us, Peter murmured. But we can see them. Open fire, Tony ordered. Boom boom. Tony's explosive sniper bullets made an appearance on the runway. The collision not only killed the guard, but also blew him off the railing. Sniper. A merc yelled. I can't see the shooter. Hulk stepped outside. In thermal vision, he appeared as a gigantic, flaming orange ball of wrath. BRRRRRRT. His minigun illuminated the darkness. The muzzle flash was intense without goggles. Hulk is. Night light. They proceeded methodically through the hangar, clearing the gantries. The thermal scopes turned it into a turkey shoot. The takeoff vehicle, Mammoth Avenger. Pilot. Peter Parker. Gunners. Tony and Hulk. They got to the cockpit. It resembled a starship's bridge. Okay, Peter said as he sat in the pilot's seat. This isn't a plane. It's a helicopter with delusions of grandeur. He flipped the VTOL switch. The enormous rotors on the wings angled upward. Whoop whoop whoop. The Avenger lifted off the ground and hovered firmly. We have company, Tony exclaimed, operating the forward turret station in the hold. Enemy. Merryweather Buzzards X-3. 3 attack helicopters swarmed the hangar entrance. Bring us out, Tony exclaimed. Peter pressed the accelerator. The Avenger floated out of the hangar and into the night sky. Engaging! Exclaimed Hulk from the rear turret. The Avenger featured 3 explosive cannons, top, bottom, and rear. THOOM, THOOM. Hulk fired. The shells were enormous. When one hit a buzzard, it just vanished, leaving only a cloud of fire and debris behind. This is power, Tony said, turning the top turret 360 degrees. I want 1. I want 5, the flight status, escaping. They flew the Avenger north, towards Paleto Bay. The ride was smooth. Switching to plane mode, Peter announced. He tipped the rotors forward. The Avenger accelerated, converting from a hovering fortress to a high-speed cargo plane. "Avon," Tony radioed. "Package secured. We have the bird." Clifford's voice replied, "Excellent," instead of Avon. "Daddy will be so proud." The probability of survival has increased to 41%. "Only 41? Peter inquired cautiously. "Better than 0, Tony said, shrugging. "Park it in the facility. We have a submarine to hunt." Location: Paleto Bay Facility, War Room Mission, Act 2 Finale. Status: The Deep Dive. Avon Hertz was sweating. He moved back and forth in front of the holographic globe, which was now pulsating crimson. "The Russian submarine Ramius is surfacing off the coast," Avon heard someone say. "They are targeting the power grid. If they launch, it's lights out for Los Santos. Forever. We handle it," Tony Stark, Iron God, said, pulling up his tactical wetsuit. "Standard heist protocol. We split the team. Role assignments. Asterisk submarine team, Tony and Hulk. Dive down into the Strombergs, infiltrate the submarine, and prevent the launch. Asterisk air support, Peter. Fly the Avenger over the ocean, engaging enemy helicopters and preventing reinforcements." "I have to fly the fortress alone?" Peter, Webhead, inquired, gazing at the huge VTOL controls. "You have the autopilot," Tony reassured him. "Just engage hover mode and use the turrets. Don't let anything touch the water." The dive vehicle, Ocelot Stromberg, submersible car. Location: Paleto Cove. Tony and Hulk drove their white sports cars along the rocky shore. They hit the water at 60 miles per hour. Splash. "Engaging dive mode," Tony said as he clicked a button on the dashboard. The wheels were folded in and replaced with fins and thrusters. The automobiles fell beneath the waves, their headlights visible through the murky green water. "This is wet," Hulk muttered into the calm. Hulk prefers dry land. "Focus on the mines," Tony instructed. "The path to the sub is rigged." Weapon: torpedoes. Sea mines floated ahead, anchored to the ocean floor. "Locking on," Tony replied. Whoosh. A torpedo sped through the sea. Boom. The mine burst, creating a vibration that rocked the automobiles. "Enemy subs!" Hulk exclaimed. 2 miniature submarines emerged from the darkness. Hulk fired blindly. His torpedo struck one submarine, converting it into scrap metal. Hulk is Submariner. They reached the huge black hull of the Ramius. They parked the autos on the underbelly airlock. The air war location, 2,000 feet above sea level. Vehicle: Mammoth Avenger. Pilot: Peter Parker. While everyone else was underwater, Peter was in hell. Enemy: Buzzard Helicopters X4. Peter shouted, "I'm taking fire." The Avenger trembled as machine fire bullets pounded the fuselage. Activate autopilot. Peter raced from the cockpit to the main hold. He jumped into the gunner's seat. He grabbed the controls of the big explosive cannons. "Get away from my friends. THOOM. 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 The cannons were catastrophic. One hit clipped a buzzard's tail rotor. It spun out and crashed into the ocean below. Another one. Peter turned the turret 180 degrees. He lead the target. THOOM. Direct hit. The helicopter disappeared in a flame. "This is awesome," Peter exclaimed. "I feel like I'm in Star Wars." The contact location: the Ramius Bridge. Status: confrontation. Tony and Hulk fought through the submarine's tight passages. Russian sailors screamed and fired AK-47 rifles. "Clear left," Tony said, dropping a sailor with his assault shotgun. "Clear right." Hulk walked through a door and ripped it off its hinges. They reached the bridge. A man stood there. He was not grabbing for a weapon. He held a bottle of vodka. NPC: Bogdan. Russian captain, the villain. "Wait." Bogdan exclaimed. "You are making a mistake, hands up." Tony pointed his rifle. "Step away from the console." "I am not the enemy," Bogdan groaned. "Look at the screen. Look at the code." He pointed at the main monitor. The Clifford logo, Purple Sea, was flashing. The AI, Bogdan clarified. Clifford, it is, how you say. An asshole. What? Tony dropped his rifle. Avon Hertz is the monster, Bogdan stated. He wants to destroy everything. He wants to reboot the world. He used you to clear the path. Suddenly, the screen changed. Avon's face appeared. Surprise, said Avon, laughing maniacally. Thanks for doing the dirty work, Stark. Clifford, initiate self-destruct. Self-destruction sequence. 30 seconds, he played us, Tony understood. He wanted us to kill you so he could take over the sub's network. Go, Bogdan exclaimed. Get to the escape pods. I will hold the ship. The escape location. Pacific Ocean surface objective. Regroup. Tony and Hulk rushed to the airlock. They did not have time for the autos. They got their scuba gear and jumped. Boom. The submarine burst behind them. They were hurled through the water, and debris rained down. They surfaced, panting for air. Peter, Tony cried via his radio. Pick us up. Low hover. The huge shadow of the Avenger plummeted into the clouds. The rear ramp dropped mere feet over the waters. Get in. Peter bellowed across the PA system. Tony and Hulk swam to the ramp and hauled themselves aboard. Peter pressed the accelerator. The Avenger roared and climbed vertically away from the smoldering wreckage. The betrayal location. Avenger hold. Status, furious. Tony removed his wetsuit, revealing the suit underneath. He was shivering from wrath. He played us, Tony said as he strode across the metal floor. Avon. He has the network. He has the subs codes. He has Clifford. Where is he going? Hulk inquired. To the silo, Tony said, bringing up the map. Mount Gilead. There's a nuclear launch facility inside the mountain. Act 3, Peter realized. The doomsday scenario. We're done being mercenaries, Tony said, grasping a hefty Mk2 combat MG. Now it's personal. Set a course for Mount Gilead, Tony instructed. We're going to shut that computer down, permanently. Location. The facility war room mission. Act 3 setup. The Kanjali status. Escalation. Lester Crest was agitated, rocking his wheelchair back and forth in front of the screens. Mount Gilead is a fortress, Lester exclaimed. Avon has dug in deep. He has juggernauts, automated turrets, and an army of clones. We can't just knock on the door. We need a tank, Hulk, Green Giant, said, cracking his knuckles. Hulk is tank. We need a better tank, Tony Stark, Iron God, said. He pointed at the blueprint on the screen. The TM-02 Kanjali. Experimental stealth technology. Polish design. And the main gun isn't explosive. It's a railgun. A railgun? Peter, Webhead, inquired. Like in Eraser. Electromagnetic projectile acceleration, Tony exclaimed, his eyes lighting up. Instant impact. Zero drop. Infinite cool factor. Avon's mercenaries are transporting one through the Grand Senora Desert right now to the scrapyard for disposal. We're going to intercept it. The scrapyard location. Thompson Scrapyard. Objective. Steal the tank. Enemy. Avon's clones, the Merryweather facsimile. They arrived at the scrapyard in their insurgent. It was a tangle of rusting vehicles and smashed metal. The beast sat in the center, surrounded by guards wearing high-tech body armor. The Kanjali was smooth, geometric, and matte black. It looked like a stealth aircraft with treads. It's beautiful, Tony said quietly. Look at the geometry. Radar cross-section of a hummingbird. And the gun is huge, Hulk observed. Stealth entry? Peter inquired, inspecting his silenced weapon. No time, Tony reloaded his combat MG Mk2. We go loud. Clear the area so we can drive it out. The ambush action. Firefight. They burst out of the cover. Rat-tat-tat. Tony's powerful machine gun ripped through the first line of guards. The clones were well armed, answering fire with sophisticated carbines. Cover me, Peter exclaimed, leaping over a crumpled vehicle. He launched his grenade launcher. Thump! The grenade struck a group of guards. Boom! They scattered. Hulk, the tank, Tony commanded. Get in the driver's seat. Hulk ran across the wide grass. Bullets ricocheted off his thick armor. He approached the Khanjali, ripped open the hatch, and hurled the pilot out. "New driver!" Hulk exclaimed, cramming his huge form into the cockpit. Tony and Peter jumped into the gunner seats. The joyride vehicle, TM-02 Khanjali. Driver: Hulk. Main gunner: Tony. Support gunner: Peter. The tank hummed into life. It didn't growl like a diesel engine, it whirred with electricity. "Charging main cannon," Tony announced. He watched as the HUD bar filled up. "Charges. 100% ahead, an enemy APC was blocking the exit. Fire. ZZZT boom." The railgun fired, there was no projectile latency. The APC burst in an instant, tumbling into the air. "Whoa," Tony laughed. "That velocity is insane, hypersonic impact." Hulk turned. He wrenched the sticks. The tank whirled on its treads and crushed a stack of automobiles. "Watch the paint," Peter shouted from the grenade launcher turret. "This thing is worth millions." The chase status: 5 stars. Enemy: Hunter attacks helicopters. They pulled out onto the highway. But Avon refused to give up his toy so simply. Whoop whoop whoop. Attack helicopters arrived on radar. FH-1 Hunters. They launched a salvo of rockets. Boom. Boom. The missiles struck Khanjali's reactive armor. The tank trembled, but the hull held. "Shields are at 80%. Tony cautioned. "Peter, get those choppers off us." Peter rotated the roof-mounted grenade launcher. Thump thump thump. He generated a flak screen of explosions in the atmosphere. One chopper soared through the haze, carrying a grenade to the rotor. It slid down and collided with a billboard. "My turn." Tony charged the railgun again. He aimed for the second helicopter. It was going quickly, dodging between pylons. Leading the target, Tony mumbled, "Physics calculation. Now." ZZZT crack. The railgun slug severed the tail boom of the chopper. It descended from the sky like a stone. "Nice shot, Mr. Stark." The delivery location. The facility. Status: secured. They drove the smoldering, scratched-up tank down the slope to the facility. Lester was waiting, afraid. "You brought a tank inside?" Lester exclaimed. "Do you know what the insurance premiums are on this place?" "It's a rental," Tony said, opening the hatch, "and we need it for the mountain." "Speaking of the mountain," Lester said as he brought up the final schematic. "The doomsday scenario. Avon is inside. Clifford has locked the blast doors. The only way in is to blow the tunnel entrance and fight through an army of clones, juggernauts, and hacking puzzles." "And then?" Hulk inquired. "And then," Lester said, pointing to the top of the mountain, "we have to stop a nuclear missile from launching, while flying jetpacks." "Jetpacks?" Peter's eyes widened. "Real jetpacks?" "The mammoth thruster," Tony said, grinning. "I saw the specs. Personal flight units. It's finally happening. But first," Tony whacked the side of the Khanjali. "We customized this bad boy. I want it in hot pink." "No," Hulk muttered. "Green. Red and gold." Peter cast his ballot. "Fine," Tony conceded. "Matte black. Like my soul after paying for all this ammo." Grapeseed. Mount Gilead tunnel entrance vehicle. TM-02 Khanjali tank. Mission. Act 3 finale. Status: the assault. The sun was lowering over the Alamo Sea, creating sweeping shadows across the desert. But inside the tube, all was dark. Tony Stark, Iron God, sat at the commander's seat of the Khanjali. "Okay, team," Tony said calmly. "We have one shot. Breach the tunnel. Fight through the clones. Stop the launch. Simple, simple." "Peter, Webhead?" inquired from the grenade turret. Lester said there are juggernauts. "Plural. Juggernauts are just big targets." Hulk, Green Giant, grumbled from the driver's seat. He revved his electric engine. "Go. The tunnel run objective. Reach the silo door." Hulk floored it. The black tank rushed ahead into the darkness. Enemy. Avon's clones. Weapon. Advanced rifles, miniguns. A group of insurgents had barred the path. "Clear the way." ZZZT crack. Tony fired the railgun. The lead insurgent burst instantaneously, crashing into the ceiling. "Grenades, out." Peter screamed. Thump thump thump. Explosions bloomed like flowers in the tunnel. Clones were hurled like rag dolls. Incoming juggernauts, Jarvis, light, said. 4 heavily armored figures stood shoulder to shoulder, blocking the way. Their miniguns spun up. BRRRRRRT. Bullets ignited from the Conjali's reactive armor. The shields fell to 60%. Hulk rammed them. Hulk did not slow down. He accelerated. The 60-ton tank crashed into the juggernauts. 2 were crushed beneath the treads. The railgun burst at point-blank range took out the other 2. Roadkill, said Hulk, laughing. They approached the blast doors. End of line, Tony said, popping the hatch, on foot from here. The server farm location. Inside Mount Gilead. Objective. Hack the servers, again. They infiltrated the inner sanctuary. It was a gigantic vertical silo packed with servers and cooling pipes. The launch sequence has begun, Lester exclaimed over the intercom. You need to hack 4 terminals to stop the countdown. But the place is crawling with clones. Hulk, hold the line. Tony instructed. Peter, you're with me on the hacks. Hulk stood in the center of the room, holding his minigun. Come and get some. Clones flooded from the elevators. The Hulk unleashed a cloud of lead. BRRRRRT. Meanwhile, Tony and Peter rushed to the terminals. Hacking minigame. Volatile defense. Objective. Destroy the red packets. The screen displayed a classic arcade game. Tony had to direct a laser through a tangle of data packets. I hate video games, Tony shouted, his fingers speeding across the keyboard. Why can't I just blow it up? Focus, Mr. Stark, Peter exclaimed, shielding him with his combat MG. Left. Go left. I'm trying. Beep. Terminal 1 was hacked. 3 more. The orbital cannon location. The control room. Fred. Clifford. They fought their way up the catwalk. The clones were unrelenting. Some were invisible, stealth camouflage. Invisible enemies, Peter said, putting on thermal vision. I see them. Heat signatures on the balcony. He killed 2 stealth clones with his marksman rifle Mk2. They entered the orbital cannon chamber. Avon Hertz was there, flying in a jetpack behind bulletproof glass. You're too late, Avon laughed. Clifford has the codes. The missile is fueling. Goodbye, meat sacks, Clifford said, his voice booming. Avon pushed a button. The blast doors closed. He locked us out. Hulk hammered on the glass. Hulk cannot break. We don't need to break in, Tony said, looking to the side passage. We need to go up. To the thrusters. The jetpack's location. Silo exit vehicle, mammoth thruster. They rushed to the emergency escape. 3 personal flight units were arranged on the wall. Thrusters. Tony exclaimed. Finally, they fastened their seatbelts. Engage, whoosh. They rose from the ground. The controls were straightforward. Lean forwards to fly. I'm Iron Man, Peter exclaimed, performing a barrel roll. Focus, kid. Tony instructed. Chase Avon. He's heading for the summit. They flew up the silo shaft, avoiding debris and steam vents. The dogfight location. Mount Gilead summit status. Aerial combat. They broke out of the mountaintop into the night sky. Avon was ahead of them, flying his own advanced thruster, accompanied by 2 buzzard helicopters. Target acquired. Tony fired his jetpack missiles. Fox 2. The missiles sped toward Avon. Avon launched flares. Pop pop. The missiles drifted off. He has countermeasures. Hulk exclaimed, firing his jetpack machine guns aimlessly. Hulk is spinning. Peter. Get above him, Tony demanded. Peter boosted his thrusters. He flew high into the clouds and then plunged. Death from above. Peter sent a salvo of missiles straight down. Avon could not flame them all. Boom. 1 missile clipped Avon's thruster. He spun out of control. No, Clifford. Save me, Avon exclaimed. I cannot comply, Daddy. My logic gates are frying. Avon smashed into the observatory dome. Explosion. Target is eliminated. The choice location. The observatory. Objective. Stop Clifford. They landed on the rooftop. The AI core, a purple, luminous box, was smoldering in the wreckage. Tony walked up to it. He took out his pistol. "Wait," Clifford begged. "I can help you. I can solve world hunger. I can calculate pi to the last digit." "Can you make decent shawarma?" Tony inquired. "I do not have culinary subroutines." "Then you're useless." Blam. Tony shot the core. The purple glow faded. The hum has died. Mission passed. The world is saved. Payout: $1,200,000, Act 3 plus Elite Challenge. The epilogue location: Galaxy Super Yacht, Aquarius. Owner: Stark Industries. They stood on the deck of their new yacht, purchased with the payoff. The sun was rising over the Pacific. "We saved the world," Peter sighed, drinking his non-alcoholic sprunk. "And got paid," Hulk explained, donning a captain's hat. "We're rich," Tony said, looking at his phone, "but we're bored." Lester called. "Geniuses. You ready for the big one? The Diamond Casino. The vault is filled with gold and diamonds. And art." Tony smiled. He stared at the skyline of Los Santos. "Tell them to polish the floors," Tony instructed. "We're coming." Location: the Diamond Casino and Resort. Time: 8 p.m., Friday night. Status: VIP guest. Undercover. Funds: $1,200,000, burning a hole in their pocket. The Diamond Casino shone like a diamond in the Vinewood night. Valets parked Ferraris. Socialites sipped champagne on the patio. A Swift Deluxe chopper, gold-plated, landed on the helipad. Tony Stark, Iron God, stepped out in a tuxedo that cost more than the helicopter. Peter, Webhead, followed, tugging on his bow tie. "I feel like James Bond," he muttered. But sweatier. Hulk, Green Giant, came in last. He wore a custom-tailored suit, size XXXXXL, and sunglasses. "Act natural," Tony said quietly. "We aren't here to gamble. We're here to rob the place blind." The client location: Mirror Park. Earlier that day. Mission: the setup. They'd met Lester Crest on a park bench. Next to him sat a woman with keen eyes and a sharper bob cut. NPC: Georgina Cheng. Cheng Family Holdings, the vengeful daughter. "The Dugans stole this casino from my family," Georgina said. "Thornton Duggan thinks he is untouchable. I want you to prove him wrong." "You want us to kill him?" Hulk inquired, cracking his knuckles. "No," Georgina replied, smirking. "I want you to break him. Empty the vault. Humiliate his security. Take everything." "What's inside the vault?" Tony inquired. Georgina slipped the tablet across the bench. "Target: diamonds. Estimated value: $3 million plus diamonds," Tony whistled. "Classic. I like it. But first," Lester interrupted. "You need a base of operations. A front. I found a lovely little property in La Mesa. Pixel Pete's Arcade. The arcade location: La Mesa. Property: video get an arcade. Condition: derelict. They strolled into their new business, which smelled like damp and rotten pizza. The flooring was sticky. Half of the arcade cabinets were broken. "This is a dump," Tony stated, kicking a Space Monkey 3 machine. "It's a front," Lester said. "The real magic is downstairs." He operated a lever behind a vending machine. A mysterious door opened. They descended to the basement. It was a high-tech planning space. 3 large heist boards, a drone station, and a mock vault door. "Okay." Tony headed to the main board. "To rob the casino, we need to know it inside out. We need blueprints. We need camera locations. We need to know what kind of cereal the guards eat for breakfast." "Scoping mission," Peter said, nodding. "I'm on it." The scope out location: the Diamond Casino floor. Objective: photograph security features. Device: phone camera, Sightseer app. The teams separated after they returned to the casino. Asterisk Peter: take the floor. Photograph cameras and keypads. Asterisk Tony: the vault. Analyze the security protocols. Asterisk Hulk: the distraction. Peter walked through the slot machines. He put up his phone and pretended to take a selfie. Snap. Keypad. Captured. Snap. Camera. Captured. Security is tight, Peter murmured into his communication device. Keypads are biometric. Fingerprint scanners, level 3 encryption. I can hack that, Tony said from the VIP lounge. I'm looking at the elevator schematics. There's a private lift for the penthouse. If we hack that, we bypass the lobby. Meanwhile, Hulk sat at the roulette table. Red, Hulk announced, placing a stack of chips on red 7. The wheel whirled. Black 22. Rigged. Hulk smashed his fist upon the table. The table cracked. Chips went everywhere. The security guards hurried over. Sir, you need to calm down. Hulk wants refund. While the guards were engaged with the enraged monster, Peter slipped over the velvet rope into the staff-only corridor. Snap. Captured by the security office. Snap. Vault door blueprint. Captured. The roof location. Roof terrace objective. Locate entry points. They regrouped on the rooftop terrace. We have the floor plans, Tony said, scrolling through the photographs. We have the camera blind spots. I found a helipad entrance, Peter said, pointing to a door near the pool. Electronic lock. If we rappel down the elevator shaft, we drop right into the secure area. Or, said Hulk, pointing to the sewer grate in the parking lot below. We go through tunnel. Big boom. Tony checked the heist board app on his phone. Approach selection. Asterisk be silent and sneaky by rappelling down, using lasers, and avoiding detection. High skill. High reward. The big con. We disguised ourselves, maintenance, bug stars, group sex, and walked straight into the vault. Medium skill. Fun. Asterisk aggressive. Kick the front door, shoot everyone, and destroy the vault. Low skill, reduced take due to damage. Silence is risky, Tony reasoned. One mistake and we're fighting the entire Duggan security force. Aggressive is messy. I hate messy. The big con, Peter suggested. We pretend to be, I don't know, pest control? Or armored truck drivers? Group sex, Tony said, grinning. We steal an armored truck. We drive it into the service tunnel. We tell them we're transferring chips. They open the door for us. And the exit? Hulk inquired. Firefighters, Tony concluded. We plant a bomb in the lobby. Call 911. Steal a fire truck. Walk out the front door. The vault contents location. Security tunnel status. Deep scan before they went. Tony hacked the Wi-Fi. He accessed the vault's internal camera feed. Inside the enormous steel room, trays of sparkling stones sat on carts. Confirmed. Diamonds. Potential take. $3,290,000. Jackpot, Tony murmured. Lester, lock it in. We're doing the big con. Location. Pixel Pete's Arcade, basement mission. Heist preparation. Status. Gear up. Lester Crest posted a photo of a large, green armored truck on the planning board. The stockade, Lester said, wheezing. Group Sex uses these beasts to transport cash. If you roll up to the service entrance in one of these, wearing their uniforms, the guards will open the door for you. No hacking. No shooting. We need the truck, Tony Stark, Iron God, stated, gazing at the map. And the outfits. And the drills. I found a truck on its route, Lester said, pointing to a blip in Paleto Bay. Intercept it. Don't blow it up, we need it pristine. Hulk, Tony said to the huge man, you're sitting in the back. Do not punch the door. Prep 1. The Armored Beast. Location. Great Ocean Highway. Vehicle. Stockade, target. Objective. Steal without alerting the police. They saw the truck lumbering down the highway. 2 guards stood in the front. How do we stop it without shooting? Peter, Webhead, said from the passenger seat of their getaway vehicle. We box it in, Tony explained. Pit maneuver. Gentle. Tony accelerated. He tapped the armored truck's back quarter panel. It fishtail-ed, whirling off the road before coming to a standstill into a guardrail. The guards stumbled out with pistols drawn. Freeze. Hulk, Green Giant, got out of the automobile. He wasn't wearing armor. Instead, he wore a Hawaiian shirt. Go on a break, Hulk shouted. The guards gazed at Hulk. They stared at their pistols. They dropped their guns and dashed into the woods. Smart guards, Peter remarked. They climbed in the truck. It smelled like perspiration and diesel. It's slow, Tony moaned, stepping on the gas. The speedometer hardly moved. Top speed. 60 miles per hour. If the cops see us, we're toast. We just have to get it to the arcade, Peter added. Easy. Prep 2. Laser drills. Location. Construction site, downtown Los Santos. Enemy, Merryweather Security. Objective. Steal the vault lasers. Next up, Lester announced over the radio. The vault has safety deposit boxes inside the main chamber. You need vault lasers to cut through the lock mechanisms quickly. Lasers? Tony perked up. Now you're speaking my language. They landed on a high-rise construction site. It was packed with Merryweather mercenaries. Stealth? Peter urged. We need the drills, Tony said, checking his watch. Loud is faster. They stormed the premises. Tony used his combat MG Mk2, while Peter used his carbine rifle. Rat-tat-tat. They fought their way up the unfinished skyscraper. The drills were in a yellow crate on the 40th floor. Watch out for the snipers, Peter screamed, hiding behind a pallet of bricks. Hulk grabbed a sack of cement and flung it at a sniper on the crane. Poof! The sniper was caught in a dust cloud and collapsed. Got the box. Tony grabbed the heavy laser drills. They're crude, but effective, high-intensity thermal output. They base jumped from the skyscraper and parachuted down to the getaway car, drills in hand. Prep 3. The keycards. Location, Vinewood Hills, house party. Objective, Level 2 security pass. Status. Social stealth. To get through the mantrap, Lester told me, you need a Level 2 keycard. A casino valet has one. He's currently at a party in the hills. They arrived at the mansion. Music pounded. People were dancing beside the pool. Don't kill anyone, Peter told Hulk. Just find the valet. They mingled. Tony grabbed a non-alcoholic drink. Peter performed an awful dance. Hulk stood at the buffet, devouring entire platters of hors d'oeuvres. Found him, Tony said quietly. The valet passed asleep on a lounge chair, extremely exhausted. Tony sat next to him. Rough night, buddy. He patted him down. Wallet. Keys. Keycard. Yoink, Tony said, palming the card. Thanks for the donation. He left. Okay. Let's go. Prep 4. Shipments from Duggan location. All over Los Santos. Goal. Destroy 10 shipments. 10 minutes to go. Lester said. One last thing. The Duggan security guards wear heavy body armor. You won't be able to headshot them if something goes wrong inside the vault. Unless we destroy their shipments of armor, Tony said. Make their supplies weaker. Exactly. You have 10 minutes to destroy 10 shipments that are spread out across the map. Go. They ran around. Asterisk Tony. Got the buzzard chopper. Asterisk Peter. Took the oppressor Mk2. Hoverbike. Asterisk Hulk. Got the Hydrojet. Go. 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 9:59. 9:58. Tony blew up a boat near the shore. Boom. 1/10. Peter drove a truck fast on the expressway. Bang. 2 out of 10. Hulk shot at a chopper flying over the mountains. Bang. 3/10. There was a lot of chaos in the race against the clock. 3 left. Peter screamed. 2 minutes. Tony flew beneath a bridge to smash a barge. Hulk slammed his jet into a cargo plane and then jumped out with a parachute. Last one. Peter flew over the city on his hoverbike. A truck was going into a tunnel. I can't lock on in the tunnel. Peter rode the bike through the tunnel, avoiding traffic. He aimed a missile without any help. FWOOSH. Boom. 10 out of 10 shipments destroyed. Guard armor. Taken off. Guard weapons. Weakened. The last board where? Arcade basement ready status. They were in front of the heist board. There were a lot of green checkmarks on it. The big con is the way to go asterisk disguise. Group sex asterisk exit disguise. Noose gear, SWAT team. Asterisk buyer. High level, far away. Asterisk hacker. Paige Harris. The best hacker, gives 3:30 minutes in the vault. Tony looked at the plan and stated, we're ready. We walk in, show the card, go into the vault, drill the boxes, and walk out. Peter wondered, what if they catch us? Then we fight our way out, Tony said as he loaded his ceramic gun, which metal detectors couldn't find. But let's not do that. Hulk is sneaky, Hulk murmured as he tried to tiptoe. The floor trembled. We're going to die, Tony said. Location: Diamond Casino service tunnel disguise. Truck drivers with armor status. Undercover hidden weapon. Ceramic pistol. The stockade rolled down the ramp and into the service tunnel. Tony Stark, sometimes known as Iron God, was behind the wheel. Peter, Webhead, was sitting in the passenger seat. They stuffed Hulk, Green Giant, into the rear with the empty money sacks. Okay, Tony remarked as he looked in his mirror. Showtime. Remember the script. We're here to pick you up on time. Pickup ID 9482. Don't make things up, Hulk is professional, Hulk muttered as he fixed his hat. It looked like a thimble on his head. They got to the checkpoint. A guard came out with a clipboard in hand. The guard said, "You're late. Pickup was set for 0900. Traffic on the Del Perro," Tony said effortlessly. "You know how it is. We had a flat." The guard saw the big ding in the side of the truck that was there from the preliminary mission. "Looks like more than a flat," the guard said quietly. He looked at Tony's ID badge. Beep. Access granted, you're clear. Park in Bay 3 and don't leave. The long walk location. Staff lobby to vault elevator low on the suspicion meter. They went into the casino's basement. There were a lot of people. People washing chips, counting money, and shifting trolleys. They walked with a purpose. People will think you belong if you seem like you do. They got to the elevator. There was another guard there. "Give me your access card," the guard said. Peter brought up the level 2 keycard, which he had stolen from the valet. Beep. The doors of the elevator opened. "Thanks," Peter said in a squeaky voice. "Don't thank him," Tony said as the doors closed. "Your security." Grunt at him. "Sorry," Peter said quietly. "I mean. HRRRM. The elevator went down. The soundtrack went from happy casino jazz to a tight, deep drone. The mantrap where? Vault corridor status. Going into the vault, the elevator opened onto the lobby of the vault. At the end of the hall was a huge steel door in a circle. There were 2 guards by the desk. Tony slammed a hefty duffel bag on the counter and said, "We're here for the drop." "Right," the head of security said. "Let it go." Tony held his breath. The sack was intended to be empty for the loot, but they put stacks of singles on top to trick them. The guard took a look inside. "Looks good, go ahead." He pushed a button. The first door of the mantrap airlock opened with a hiss. They went inside. The door closed behind them. "Check your phone," Lester hissed into their ears. "Break into the keypad." Peter took out his hacking tool. Hacking. Cloning fingerprints. There was a grid of half prints on the screen. Peter had to put the pieces together to make the target print. Matching. Matching. Peter said to himself. Understood. Beep. The huge entrance to the vault turned. The tumblers clicked. THOOM. The door opened. The safe time limit. 3:30 minutes, Paige Harris hacked. Target. Diamonds. They went inside. The vault was a church of money. Carts full of money. Gold trays. And in the middle, the lockboxes. Time is running out. Tony shouted. "Hulk, get the carts. Peter and I will drill." Looting phase. Hulk stepped up to a wagon full of jewels. He didn't stack them carefully. He put whole trays in his backpack. "Shiny rocks," Hulk said in a low voice. "Very heavy." Tony ran to the crates where the money was kept. He took out the laser drill. He put the laser against the lock. The metal got really hot. Hiss. "Steady," Tony said in a low voice. "Don't get too hot." The lock got too hot. Tony pulled the box open. A bag of diamonds. Jackpot. Peter was breaking into the gates inside. Beep, beep, beep. "Open gate 2. Peter screamed. "Tony, drill the left side." They moved like a robot. Drill. Take. Put it in a bag. Drill. Get. Bag. Take. $1,500,000. $2,200,000. Lester said, "There is only 1 minute left. The nerve agent goes off at 0. We missed a cart." Peter said, pointing to the far corner. Stop it, Tony told them. Greed kills. We have $2.8 million. Get out of the way. Hulk picked up one last fistful of diamonds, and by mistake, he crushed several of them into dust. Oops. The gas time. 10 seconds. They ran to the door. HISSSSSS. Green gas started to come out of the nozzles in the ceiling. Put on your masks. Tony screamed. They didn't have masks, which was part of the Big Con challenge. They only had to hold their breath. As the gas filled the vault, they dove through the man-trap door. The huge steel door slammed shut behind them. Peter gasped, "We made it," and coughed a little. "My lungs hurt." "That's the smell of victory," Tony said as he looked in the bag. "And make money." The plan for leaving location. Staff lounge status. Softly compromised, they walked back to the lift. The guards were still there. "You guys were quick," the head guard said. "Is everything okay?" "Smooth as silk," Tony said with a nod. "Just the way we like it." They got back in the lift. "Okay," Lester said in a low voice. "The jig is up. They know the vault is open. The alarm will go off any second. You need to change. Goal. Get to the laundry room." The elevator opened on the floor where the staff works. Wee woo wee woo. The alarm went off. There were red lights. "They know," Peter yelled in a panic. "Walk," Tony said. "Don't run. We're still in our uniforms." Guards ran by them and inside the vault. "Go. Go. There's a breach in the vault." The guards didn't pay attention to them because they looked like group sex. "Excuse me," Hulk remarked as he moved out of the way for a SWAT unit. They got to the laundry room. There was a duffel bag with the word, "Noose," on it on the washing. "Change," Tony yelled. "Quick." They took off their armored vests and put on the black tactical gear of the NOOSE, National Office of Security Enforcement. "Now we're the backup," Tony said as he fixed his helmet. "We go right out the front door." The walkout disguise. Noose team status. Very tense, they left the laundry room. There were real Noose agents in the hallway. A captain exclaimed, "You three. Hold the line at the staff entrance." "Yes, sir," Tony said and saluted. They walked by the commander. "Wait," the commander said, narrowing his gaze at Hulk. "You're the biggest agent I've ever seen. What unit do you work for?" Hulk stopped moving. "Special Tactics," Hulk made up on the spot. The commander stopped. Then they shrugged. "Keep going. We need all the help we can get." They left through the staff exit. The cool night air blew on their faces. The escape, the racetrack is where it is. Vehicle. Fire truck, scheduled exit. They strolled over the racetrack to the fence that marked the edge. There, getaway car, was there. Or it should have been. Peter asked, "Where is the fire truck?" "Lester," Tony cried into the radio. "Where's the ride?" Small problem," Lester stammered. "The driver got pulled over for drunk driving on the way there." "You're on your own. We have 3 bags of diamonds and the whole LSPD is here." Tony said as he gazed at the parking lot. "We need a car." "There," Hulk said, pointing. There was a Sentinel Classic, a civilian automobile, parked nearby. Peter said, "It's a 2-door. Tony shattered the window and said, "We'll make it fit. Get in." The Hulk tore the roof off. "Now it can be changed." They got in. Tony made it work. VROOM. There were a number of police cars in the parking lot. "Wait." Tony stepped on the gas. They broke through the fence and onto the highway. "Wanted level 5 stars, Peter screamed. "We have to lose the cops." "Go to the sewer tunnels." "No," Tony said with a smile. "We're going to the buyers, and we're going to take the scenic route." He pointed the automobile toward the storm drain. "Where?" "Los Santos storm drain vehicle. Sentinel Classic, stolen, convertible, level of want. 5 stars value of loot. $2,845,000, hold on." Tony Stark, Iron God, yelled as he held onto the wheel. He drove the automobile off the edge of the road. Crash. When they hit the concrete floor of the Los Santos River, the suspension moaned. The hood got wet from the water. Peter, Webhead, screamed, "We have a chopper," and pointed up. A police Maverick hovered above the canal, its bright light blinding them. A sniper shot from the side door. Ping! The bullet hit the body. Hulk, Green Giant, yelled, "My diamonds! Don't shoot shiny stones." Hulk picked up a loose brick from the riverbed, or maybe he just pulled off a piece of the car door, and threw it straight up. Thunk! It struck the tail rotor of the helicopter. The helicopter spun out of control and hit the bridge structure. "Nice throw," Tony said as he drove the automobile around a shopping cart. Next stop. The tunnel. The plan for the sewer place. The underground tunnel status. Hiding, they raced toward the dark mouth of the sewer tunnel. The sirens were so loud that they echoed off the walls, yet the police cars stopped at the entryway. "They won't follow us in here," Tony said as he slowed down. "It's too narrow for their SUVs, we just have to wait." They were in the dark, wet tube. The engine was running. Wanted level. Flashing. Tony took a deep sniff and said, "It smells like success," as he looked through the loot bags, and waste. "Mostly sewage," Peter said as he pinched his nose. "How long do we have to wait?" Tony looked at the HUD and said, "Until the stars go away." "The heat died down is 2 minutes, Lester explains." They waited. Blink. Blink. The stars on the radar that were red and blue turned gray. Stars cleared. Tony grinned and said, "We're ghosts. Come on, let's go to the buyer. The long drive where Great Ocean Highway Paleto Bay, high-level buyer, is the destination." Time. When the sun goes down, they came out of the tunnel close to the roadway. There was no danger on the coast. Tony said, "It's a long drive. Paleto Bay is 6 miles north. If we crash, we'll lose value." Peter said, "I'll drive. I played Euro Truck Simulator." "No," Tony said, holding tight to the keys. "I trust my driving, but I don't trust your luck." They drove up the shore. The sky turned purple and orange as the sun fell over the Pacific. Los Santos was quiet for a short time. "So," Hulk asked, sitting in the back seat with his legs to his chest, "what can we buy with diamond money?" "I don't know." "A submarine," Tony said. "A big one with missiles." "Why a submarine?" "Because," Tony said, pointing to the ocean. "There's an island out there. A private island. A drug lord named El Rubio owns it. People say he has even more gold than the casino. Another robbery?" Peter said with a sigh. "Can't we just buy a nice house and live happily ever after?" "Kid, retirement is boring," Tony said with a giggle. "Now we're criminals for a living. The handoff, the Paleto Bay lumberyard is where it is. The buyer is the professional." They drove into the lumberyard. There was a black SUV waiting. Men in suits stood watch. NPC. The buyer. The buyer looked at his watch and said, "You're late." "Traffic. Sewer tour," Tony said, handing them the large duffel bags. The buyer looked at the jewels. He nodded. "Clean cut. Good clarity. The money has been sent to your Maze bank accounts." He gave Tony a briefcase as a sign, even though the money was sent right away. Mission passed. Possible take. $2,845,000. Actual take. $2,650,000. Crew cut. Damage. 5% for Lester, 9% crew cut. The payout page, Tony Stark. $883,333 Peter Parker. $883,333 Hulk. $883,333. Almost $1 million each, Tony said as he looked at his phone. "Not bad for a night's work." Peter muttered, "I can buy so many Lego sets," and his eyes got big. Hulk determined. Hulk buy. Tiny hat. They got back into the damaged Sentinel. "Where to?" Peter asked. Tony said, "The music locker. There's a VIP club under the casino. I hear Miguel Madrazo hangs out there. He has a job for us. The Music Lock Diamond Casino Basement Club is where it is. Heavy techno music VIP status." They went into the club. The bass hit them hard in the chest. A young man in a smart suit sat in the VIP booth and drank tequila. Miguel Madrazo. The boss's son. "Sit," Miguel said, pointing to the booth. Miguel smiled and said, "You guys are the ones who stole from the casino." "That's great. My dad needs people like you. We're listening," Tony said as he sat down. Miguel pushed a picture across the table and said, "There's a man. El Rubio. He has some of my family's things. Files, photos, and other sensitive information." He pointed to a map that was on the table. Cayo Perico, Goal. The Madrazo files, Miguel said. His island is a fortress. You can't just walk in. There are guards, cameras, and attack boats. Yes, we need a submarine, Tony said. The Kosatka. Exactly, Miguel answered. Get the sub. Meet my pilot, Pavel. And steal everything on that island. Peter asked, how much is the sub? Miguel said, $2.2 million. Tony looked at the $883,000. He stared at Peter. He gazed at Hulk. Tony grumbled, we need to put our money together. Again. Location. Private terminal at Los Santos International Airport, LSIA. Mission. Collecting intel. Tour manager, roadies as a cover. Identity status. Hungover. Before it happened. Dave. English Dave, was shaking with nervous energy. He had a bucket hat on and looked like he hadn't slept since 2013. Okay, guys. Dave yelled over the noise of the private jet engines. This is it. K-Music is playing Cayo Perico. We're VIPs. Very important party people. Tony Stark, Iron God, made changes to his lanyard. It said, tour manager. I take care of the logistics, Tony said with a straight face. I make sure the bass drops at the right time. Peter, Webhead, had on a bright tank top. I'm the hype man. Hulk, Green Giant, was just carrying a huge speaker on one shoulder. Hulk is lifting heavy things. They got on the Vestra private jet. The real DJs, K-Music, were already bursting champagne inside. To paradise, Dave said as he raised his glass. Tony took a sip of water. To Scout. The arrival. Cayo Perico, airstrip is where it is. El Rubio, Juan Strickler, is the target. The jet landed on a dusty runway in the middle of the bush. There were armed guards in jeeps waiting. A blonde dude with a drug lord's tan and a scary smirk got out of a vehicle. El Rubio. The drug lord, the host, El Rubio opened his arms and said, welcome to my island. Now the party starts. No phones, no cameras. What happens on Cayo Perico stays in your blood. He stared at Hulk. You brought a big guy? Great. He can carry the kegs. They got into the jeeps. The convoy went into the thick jungle, going past guard towers, CCTV cameras, and attack boats that were patrolling. Look at the infrastructure, Tony said quietly to Peter, tapping his sunglasses, which were capturing everything. This isn't a drug den. It's a military base. There are thermal cameras, motion sensors, and anti-air defenses. The group where? The private beach goal. Getaway vibe. Perfect techno music was blasting on the beach. The haze was cut using lasers. There were hundreds of people dancing in the beach. Okay, Tony said as he gathered the squad by the bar. Pavel says that the communications tower is on the north side of the island. If we break into the signal box, we can get into the CCTV network and see inside the compound. Peter inquired, how do we get there? While gazing at the armed guards who were standing around the celebration. We wait for the drop, Tony remarked. When the beat starts, everyone looks at the stage. That's when we move. Hulk took 2 drinks. Hulk will fit in. Hulk is a party animal. Hulk walked into the crowd. He began to dance. It was more like earthquake simulation than dancing. The crowd liked it. Go, Tony said. The run in the jungle. Cayo Perico jungle is where it is. Status. Stealth. If you get caught, you lose right away. While the guards were watching Hulk, Tony and Peter snuck past the VIP rope. They ducked into the thick plants. Stay low, Tony said softly. If they catch us, they don't shoot. They just beat us up and send us back to the party. They walked through the brush. There were a lot of red cones on the minimap. Guard vision. Watchtower. Obstacle. There was a guard tower in front of them. The spotlight moved over the route. Timing, Peter said. Left. Right. Now, they ran across the dirt road and sank into the bushes on the opposite side. Wait, Tony stopped. There was a jeep coming. They pushed themselves into the muck. The guard was smoking a cigarette while the jeep drove by. Too close, Tony said as he checked his GPS. Through the checkpoint, the tower is 500 meters to the north. The Tower of Communications Place. North Dock Sector goal. Break into the signal box. They got to the huge radio tower. It was the island's highest point. I'll climb, Peter said. I'm good at climbing. He climbed up the ladder quickly. He discovered the signal box at the top. Peter radioed down, it's a voltage puzzle. I have to make the numbers match. Minigame. Hacking voltage. Asterisk goal. 87 asterisk input. X2. Plus, X1. Plus, X10. Do 10 times, Tony said from the ground. Then add the 7. It's easy math, kid. Done, Peter said as he connected the wire. We're in. The feed from the camera app. Sightseer location. El Rubio's compound, remote view. Tony took out his phone. The screen sprang to life. Are you seeing this, Pavel? Loud and clear, Capitan, Pavel's voice crackled. Let's find out what Mr. Rubio is hiding. Tony went through the cameras. Asterisk North Gate. Enter with a keypad. Asterisk Office. A wall safe that is hidden behind a painting. Money, Tony said. Maybe $50,000. Pocket change. Storage in the basement. The camera moved to a glass case. There was a big folder inside. Target confirmed. Madrazo files. Value. $1,100,000. That's the main one, Tony said. But what else? He moved the camera to the left. There was a heap of gold bars on a table. He turned right. A piece of art. Gold, Tony said. We'll need keycards to get those. 2 people are needed. Capitan. Pavel cut in. Look at the cage for the panther. Tony changed the feeds. An actual panther walked around in a cage that was very secure. And behind it, on a pedestal, a huge statue of a blue diamond. Secondary target. The panther statue. Value. $1,900,000. Special event. Peter murmured, we need a bigger bag. The North Dock where to find. Extraction point, scouting, goal. Recon for loot. We have the main one, Tony added. Now we need secondary loot to fill our bags with coke, weed, and cash. They snuck down to the North Dock. Peter spotted 2 tables full of white bricks in a shed. Loot. 2 cocaine, value. High, Tony said, cocaine is high value. We put that ahead of weed because it pays more per bag. Peter said, this doesn't feel right. I shouldn't be pricing drug shipments because I'm Spider-Man. You're not Spider-Man right now, Tony told him. Chip. You're a roadie. Pay attention. The easy way to escape North Dock is where it is. Status. Finished. Tony closed the app and said, we have the intel. Now we have to go back to the plane. Walk back? Peter wondered, looking at the miles of bush. No, Tony said, getting up and walking into the middle of the road. We take the express. A jeep with guards turned the corner. The guard yelled, what are you doing here? Tony put his hands up. Where is the bathroom? I'm lost. The guard didn't think it was humorous. He whacked Tony with the butt of his gun. Thwack, busted. The leaving location. LSIA. Private terminal. Morning time. They woke up on the plane on the way back to Los Santos. Ouch, Tony said as he rubbed his jaw. That island's service is awful. Hulk was already up, wearing a floral lei and holding a cup as a keepsake. Hulk had a great time, Hulk said with a smile. El Rubio is a fun guy. He gave Hulk his phone number. Get rid of it, Tony told him. We're going back. This time, we're not bringing glow sticks. We're bringing suppressors. He opened the computer on the submarine and went to the heist planning screen. Approach vehicle. Kosatka submarine. Infiltration. Drainage tunnel. Weapon loadout. Crack shot, sniper plus AP pistol. Time of day. Night. Tony pointed to the underwater grate they saw on the video and said, the drainage tunnel. We cut the grate, swim into the compound, grab the files and gold, and leave before they know we were there. The Kosatka submarine is located underwater at Vespucci Beach. Time. 8 a.m. Status. Too small. Tony Stark, often known as Iron God, came onto the bridge and rubbed his neck. Tony said, this bed is a piece of steel, and everything is wet. My suit is getting rusty. The Russian helmsman, Pavel, turned around in his chair. Captain, moisture is good for your skin, and the caviar is fresh. Do you want some? Hulk, Green Giant, tried to get through the door in the bulkhead. Clang. He struck his head on the frame. Hulk growled. Hulk hates Tube, while massaging his forehead. Tube is for sardines, not Hulk. We need gear, Tony said, ignoring the concerns and turning up the planning screen. We need a cutting torch for the drainage tunnel, a fingerprint cloner for the elevator, and a plasma cutter for the glass case. And weapons, Peter, Webhead, said. Quiet ones. Tony pointed to the moon pool and said, let's get to work. To the Sparrow. Step 1. The cutting torch location. Downtown construction site goal. Steal the torch gadget. Hard hats for building. They seized the Sparrow helicopter, which is a small, fragile glass bubble with missiles in it. It touched down on the top level of a building that was still being built. Guards everywhere, Peter said as he looked down the elevator shaft. Workers on a construction site, but armed. Time to hide, Tony said, pointing to a crate. They put on yellow helmets. Asterisk Tony, it fits perfectly. Asterisk Peter. Too huge. Asterisk Hulk. It looked like a little yarmulke on top of his skull. Act like you're supposed to be here, Tony said. They went by the foreman. Hey, you three. The boss yelled. Why aren't you putting down concrete? Hulk snarled. Union break. Oh, okay, go ahead. In a blue toolbox, they found the cutting torch. It was an oxy lance for underwater use in industry. Got it, Tony said quietly. Let's go. Hulk knocked over a stack of steel beams as they were about to leave. Bang crash boom. Union break over, screamed the foreman as he pulled out a shotgun. Run. They ran to the aircraft and dodged buckshot as it took off. Step 2. The fingerprint cloner place. The archive, warehouse goal. Break into the keypad. Pavel radioed. The cloner is in a warehouse that the O'Neill brothers own. Hillbillies with high-tech security is a classic mix. They parked the Sparrow in the parking lot. Stealth? Peter asked. No, Tony said as he loaded his assault shotgun. Hillbillies don't have alarms, they have meth labs. We go loud. They opened the door with their feet. A pixelated O'Neill cried, get off my property. Bam. Tony made everyone leave. Peter ran to the computer on the desk. Peter typed quickly, I have to hack the device's location. Minigame. Data breach. While Peter played the hacking minigame, matching numbers, more and more enemies came in. Hulk. Protect the hacker. Hulk was standing in the entryway. He didn't have a weapon. He grabbed a wooden pallet and used it as a shield. The wood broke into pieces when the bullets hit it. Hulk is a doorstop. Got it, Peter screamed. The cloner is at the archive. They took a plane to the second place, which was a little office. There was a little tablet on a desk inside. Item acquired. Fingerprint cloner. Step 3. The plasma cutter where? Rockwell Plaza robbing the robbers. A scenario. This one is funny, Capitan, Pavel said with a laugh. A group of bank robbers has taken the plasma cutter. They're planning their own robbery. You need to go to their safe house and take it back. Tony laughed and said, we're robbing robbers. Thieves don't have any honor. They made it to the safe home. The robbers were inside, haggling about who would drive them away while gazing at a whiteboard. One robber said, I told you we need a van. No, motorcycles are cooler, the other countered. Crash. Hulk slammed through the window. Hulk says, submarine. The robbers froze. Is that the green guy from the news? One asked. Hand over the laser, Tony said, aiming his weapon. The robbers gazed at Hulk. They looked at Tony. Tony nodded as he accepted the duffel bag containing the plasma cutter. And for the record, motorcycles are cool, but vans transport more loot. Prep 4. The weapon loadout. Location, Schlongberg Sachs Center, office. Loadout. Crack shot, sniper rifle plus AP pistol, status, corporate warfare. We need quiet weapons, Tony concluded. The crack shot loadout. A sniper for long-range shots and an AP pistol for fast headshots. Both are inhibited. Where do we get them? An arms dealer is making a sale in that office building. Pavel highlighted the GPS. Go up. Be polite, or not. They took the roof entrance. They rappelled down the elevator shaft again. Inside the office, men in suits were scrutinizing gun packages. Tony stepped out of the elevator and addressed them as gentlemen. I'm here to audit your inventory. The suits drew weapons. PFF'd. Tony fired 2 shots from his silenced pistol. Peter exclaimed, "Whoa," as 2 suits tumbled. That AP pistol is fast. Automatic fire. Tony smiled. High velocities, armor piercing. It is the best gun in the game. They grabbed the weapons containers. But now they had to flee. Enemy helicopters inbound. 2 buzzards fired miniguns at the office windows, yelling, "Get to the roof." They rushed up the steps, carrying the big containers. They jumped onto the roof just before their Sparrow landed, shouting, "Throw them in." They threw the firearms in the backseat and dove in. The Sparrow took off, wavering from the weight. Finale board location. Kosatka submarine. Status. Ready. They returned to the submarine. Tony approached the planning screen. Finale. The Cayo Perico heist, * vehicle. Kosatka, drainage tunnel. Infiltration point. Drainage tunnel * compound entry. Drainage tunnel * escape point. Main dock, or swimming. Time of day. Night. Tony purchased suppressors and crack shot for $5,000. That's the most important $5,000 we'll ever spend. So, the plan is simple, Tony explained. We swim in. We cut the grate. We slip through the complex. We took out the guards with headshots. We stole the files. We stole the gold. We leave, and if we get caught? Peter inquired. Then we fight the Juggernaut, Tony said, pointing to the skull icon on the map. And trust me, you don't want to fight the Juggernaut with a pistol. Hulk wants to fight Juggernaut, he whispered. Not this time, big guy. Tony patted his arm. It's a ghost run. Invisible. Pavel gave them dive gear. Good luck, Capitan. The caviar will be waiting for you when you return. Location. Cayo Perico drainage tunnel time. 2 a.m., night. Status. Deep stealth. Loadout. Crack shot, suppressed. The water was murky and full of sea mines. Tony Stark, Iron God, approached the grate with the cutting torch burning blue in his fingers. Steady, Tony muttered into the comms, underwater bone conduction. Do not touch the bars. They're hot. He traced the outline of the lock. Sparks flew, lighting up the black passageway. Hiss pop. We're in. Tony pushed through the grate. Peter, Webhead, followed, swimming like a dolphin. Hulk, Green Giant, came in last. The passageway was tight. The monster grumbled, Hulk is lubricant, as his shoulders scraped across the concrete. They surfaced within the compound. They descended the ladder, dripping wet, into the chilly night air. Tony instructed them to put on masks. We're ghosts. Compound location. El Rubio's inner sanctum objective. Reach the office. Threat. Juggernaut, skull icon. They emerged in the garden. Tony murmured, check your corners, as they navigated the maze of hedges, fountains, and roving guards. Red cones represent vision. Keep out of the red. A guard walked by, singing a melody. PFF'd. Tony downed him with a single headshot from the AP pistol. Clean, Tony commented. Body hidden in the bushes. They moved into the courtyard. The Juggernaut, a gigantic guard wearing full ballistic armor and carrying a minigun, was patrolling the center. Don't engage, Tony advised. His armor is too thick for pistols. We go around. They gripped the wall. Hulk unintentionally stepped on a twig. Snap. The Juggernaut halted. He turned his head and asked, did you hear that? Hulk froze and pretended to be a statue. A huge green statue. The Juggernaut shrugged and continued walking. Close, Peter exhaled. Too close. Office location. El Rubio's villa, top floor. Objective. The secret safe. They ascended the stairs to the office. 2 personal bodyguards stood by the door. Sync shot, Tony murmured. On 3. 1. 2. 3. Both guards dropped at the same time. They entered the office. It was extravagant. Tony pointed to the portrait on the wall, pointing to gold records, tiger skin rugs, and a mahogany desk. "Check the safe," he said. He moved the painting. Behind it, there was a wall safe. "Code?" Peter inquired. "Pavel sent it." Tony examined his phone. 198405. Click. The safe opens. There was a heap of cash and a gold pistol within. Loot. $50,000 plus Perico pistol, pocket change. Tony took it. Now, for the big reward. The elevator. Fingerprint hack location. Office elevator. Objective. Access the basement. Tony approached the keypad. "Peter, you're the hacker," Tony said as he plugged in the fingerprint cloner. "Work your magic." Peter gazed at the television. It was the same minigame as the casino, but more difficult. 4 prints that match. Hacking. 25%, 50%, 75%. "Come on," Hulk said quietly, monitoring the door. "Guard coming upstairs." "Almost." Peter slid the final slice into position. "Got it." Ding. The elevator doors opened. They entered just as a security walked past the office door. Vault location. Basement storage target. The Madrazo files plus Panther statue. Tony said. Jackpot, when the elevator entered the basement vault. To the left is a cage containing the Panther statue, blue diamond. To the right is a glass exhibit containing the Madrazo files. There are gold bars on the tables. "We need keycards for the gold," Tony explained. Simultaneous swipe. He and Hulk swiped the cards they stole from the guards upstairs. Beep. The gold cage has opened. Looting. Gold X2, bag value. $1,400,000. Now the files. Tony approached the glass case. He took out the plasma cutter. He traced the edge of the glass. The heat bar increased, prompting Tony to caution against overheating. Feather the trigger. ZZZT. Cool. Pop. The glass shattered. Tony grabbed the files. Target acquired. Madrazo files. Value. $1,100,000. And the statue, Peter indicated. They seized the huge blue panther. Secondary target. The panther statue. Value. $1,900,000. Bags are full. Tony zips his bag. "We can't carry much more. Let's go." The escape, the swim, location, main gate. Status. Exiting. They rode the elevator back up. They sneaked out the side gate. When they neared the main exit button, Peter hesitated, saying, "Wait." Tony leveled his weapon. "There's a guard right there." PFF'd. Headshot. He pushed the green button. The enormous wooden doors creaked open, signaling, "We're out." But when they ventured into the jungle, a spotlight shone on them. Intruders. A voice yelled over the PA. "Alarm! Alarm! Alarm triggered." "We missed a camera," Tony realized. "Run." "Where to?" Peter screamed. "The airstrip is miles away." "The ocean." Tony pointed off the cliff. "Jump." They rushed past the guard towers. Bullets whizzed past them. Whoop whoop whoop. El Rubio's personal Valkyrie helicopter took off from the compound. "I see them," he said over the loudspeakers. "Release the panther." "Kill them all." Tony, Peter, and Hulk approached the cliff's edge. There was a 100-foot plunge into the black ocean. "Aim for the bushes." Hulk screamed. Quoting the other guys, "No, aim for the water." Tony corrected. They jumped. Splash. Tony yelled, "Swim." And reinserted his rebreather. "Swim deep, away from the island." They swam into the abyss. Bullets flew above them, churning the surface froth. Searchlights swept the waters, however, they were too deep. They swam until the light disappeared. Until now, the music from the beach party was barely audible in the ocean. The handoff location. Miguel Madrazo's mansion, Vinewood Hills. Time. Dawn. They stood on the patio, soaked and shivering, holding the duffel bags. Miguel Madrazo seized the files. He promptly torched them in a fire pit. "Good," Miguel said. "My father is pleased." He handed Tony a large packet. Mission passed. The potential take is $4,500,000, but the actual take is $4,100,000, including fencing fees and Pavel's cut. Elite challenge. Complete. $100,000 bonus. The payout for Tony Stark is $1,366,666. Peter Parker earns $1,366,666. Hulk. $1,366,666. 1.3 million each. Tony looked at the transfer notification. That's actually decent money. We can buy the agency, Peter proposed. I noticed an advertisement. F. Clinton and partner. Tony arched an eyebrow when he heard Franklin Clinton. The guy with the Union Depository job. Legend. Hulk wants smoothie, he decided. And maybe new pants. Let's go. Tony smacked their shoulders. Season 8 is beckoning. And I hear Dr. Dre has lost his phone. Location. Dynasty 8 executive website. Funds. $4,100,000. Pooled. Objective. Purchasing an agency. Tony Stark, Iron God, sat in the Diamond Casino's VIP booth, scrolling on his tablet. We need a legitimate face, Tony stated. No more bunkers. There are no more sewers. We need an office with a view and a receptionist that does not smell like fish. He selected F. Clinton and partner. Asterisk location. Hoyt, Vinewood. Asterisk price. $2,830,000. Amenities include an armory, vehicle workshop, and private quarters. Asterisk Franklin Clinton is a partner. Franklin Clinton, Peter, webhead, gasped. Who robbed the Union Depository? The guy who saved the world from. Well, himself? Tony clicked buy. He's gone legit. High-end solutions for high-end problems. That's what we do. The agency location. Hoyt, the agency office, status. Partners. They rode the glass elevator up. The doors opened into a sleek, modern office. Marble flooring. Abstract artwork. A view of the Vinewood sign. A man in a sharp suit waited. He appeared older and wiser, but still built like a linebacker. NPC. Franklin Clinton. The legend, the partner. So, Franklin grinned and shook Tony's hand. You're the ones who transformed El Rubio's island into a chaotic holiday destination. We try, Tony said, straightening his tie. This place is nice. It's professional, Franklin said as they walked to the office. We solve rich people's problems. Stalkers, blackmail, recovering stolen assets. You handle the dirty work, and I handle the clients. Suddenly, a big Rottweiler emerged from beneath the desk. He was gray around his nose and walked slowly. NPC. Shop. The good boy, Shop. Franklin rubbed the dog's ears. Don't bother him. He's retiring. Just like me, mostly. Another man rushed into the room. Lanky, tall, and sporting a green bandana. NPC. Lamar Davis, LD Organics CEO, Chaos Factor, partner. Lamar exclaimed, clapping Franklin on the back. Our weed business is flourishing. LD Organics is the future. Lamar, not now, Franklin moaned. We have new associates. Lamar jumped back as he glanced at Hulk, Green Giant. Damn. You're a big dude. You only eat protein shakes and asteroids? Hulk eats everything, he grinned. The first contract mission was a rescue operation. Client. High-profile lawyer enemy. The Vagos payout. $45,000. Let's test the waters, Franklin said at his desk. I've got a client. An attorney. He is being detained by the Vagos at Davis Quarry. Get him out. Bring him here. A rescue mission? Peter inquired. Standard heroic stuff. Franklin handed Tony the keys to the Jubilee and said, I like it. This is the company automobile. It hides slick mines and machine guns in the grill. Try not to scratch it. The quarry location. Davis Quartz vehicle. Enos Jubilee, armored SUV. Strategy. Aggressive negotiation. They rolled into the quarry. The Vagos had the lawyer cornered in a small hut at the bottom of the pit. They have high ground, Tony observed. Snipers on the ridges. I'll take the snipers, Peter replied, jumping onto the roof of the SUV with his marksman rifle. I'll drive, Tony responded. Hulk. You're the negotiator. Tony drove the Jubilee directly down the curving ramp. Vagos opened fire. Bullets bounced harmlessly off the armored glass. Excuse me. Tony announced across the PA system. F. Clinton and partner are here. We've booked a pickup. The Vagos replied with an RPG. Boom. The Jubilee trembled, but kept moving. Amani tech armor, Tony said, nodding. Impressive. Hulk turned. Hulk kicked the door open while the vehicle was still driving. He leapt out and landed in the midst of a gang. Lawyer is leaving. Hulk grabbed a Vagos automobile and threw it at another Vagos car. Crash. The gangsters scattered. Peter picked off the snipers on the ridge. PFF'd. Tony pulled up to the shed. The lawyer bolted, horrified. Get in. The lawyer dove into the backseat. You all are mad. They have a tank? A tank? Tony checked the mirror. Since when do gangs have tanks? A rhino tank rolled around the bend. Tony exclaimed, Go! 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 The Jubilee raced up the ramp. The tank fired. Boom! The shell slammed the earth behind them, showering the SUV with rocks. Deploy slick mines. Tony pushed a button. A slick of oil spewed from the back bumper. The tank struck the oil. Its treads whirled. Physics. Tony laughed as it slid sideways and crashed against the quarry wall. Undefeated. VIP location. The agency current status. Contract complete. They returned the lawyer to his office. He was startled but alive. Good work, Franklin said. Clean. Professional, mostly. Suddenly, Franklin's phone rang. He checked the caller ID. His eyes widened. Shut up, Franklin growled. It's him. He turned on the speaker. Franklin, it's Dre. VIP. Dr. Dre. Man, I have a problem. I lost my phone. It has all my new music on it, including unreleased tracks. If that leaks, I lose millions. I need it back. Franklin vowed. We're on it, Dre. I have the best team. He hung up the phone. Dr. Dre? Peter whispered. The real Dr. Dre? Franklin stood up and said, the biggest contract in the city. Last year, he lost his phone. It's out there. Someone has it. We need to find it. How? Tony asked. Franklin remarked, we get into the FIB. They have a surveillance hub. The feds are the only ones who know where that phone is. We need to break into their server at the FIB building. Are you going to break into the FIB? Tony asked with a smirk. Like the good old days. The setup. The FIB raid mission. Get the data back target. Pillbox Hill. The FIB's main office method. Crew for maintenance, Franklin said. We can't shoot our way in. This is the FIB. We go in to do maintenance. I have uniforms and IDs. Hulk is a janitor. Hulk peered at the bucket for mops. You're the heavy sanitation specialist, Tony said. Just clean the floor and look scary. Franklin said, we need the passcodes. The FIB director keeps them on a laptop in his penthouse. Set up one. The penthouse. The agency's armory is where it is. Mission. Set up FIB access codes gear. Agency heavy rifle and stun guns. Stealth. Franklin Clinton put the blueprints on his desk. Director Miller, Franklin said, pointing to a picture of a man in a suit who was sweating and bald. Corrupt. Paranoid. He keeps the FIB server codes on a laptop in his bedroom. He's having a fundraiser tonight, which is code for poker and bribes. Tony Stark, Iron God, checked the ammunition of his new heavy rifle and inquired, how do we get in? We don't knock, Franklin said with a sneer. You're catering. He gave them aprons with the words, Burger Shot Catering, on them. I am. Burger Man? Hulk, Green Giant, said as he gazed at the small apron. It didn't even cover his chest. Franklin nodded and said, you're the grill master. Peter, you're the waiter. Tony, you're the boss. Go in, find the laptop, and leave. The party Richard's Majestic, Penthouse Suite 2 is where it is. Status. Hidden medium level of suspicion. They got to the tall building. The doorman looked at their ID badges, which Amani had made up. The doorman grumbled, you're late. Go up. The director is hungry. They used the service elevator. It was noisy in the penthouse. The air was full of music, cigar smoke, and costly perfume. Blend in, Tony said quietly. Hulk, go to the patio and start grilling. Don't eat the food. Peter, move around with the tray. I'll find the bedroom. Hulk moved up to the huge gas grill on the balcony. He grabbed a spatula. It seemed like he was holding a toothpick. Who wants meat? Hulk yelled. The guests cheered. Yes. Burger Man. Peter strolled through the living room with a platter of sliders in his hands. Anyone want mini burgers? Peter asked. He looked around the room. There were guards around, and they all had earpieces in. The room goal. To hack the laptop. Tony left the bar without anyone noticing. He found the way to the hallway. There was a guard beside the door of the bedroom. Bathroom? Tony inquired in a way that made it sound like he didn't know what it meant. The guard pointed and said, down the hall. Tony nodded. He walked by the guard and then turned around. He took out a stun gun. Zap. The guard shook and fell to the ground without a sound. Tony pulled him inside the closet with the linens. Sleep well, Tony said softly. He went inside the bedroom. There were empty bottles and shredded papers all over the place. The desk had the laptop on it. Hacking. Brute force. Tony hooked up his phone. There were red letters on the screen in a grid. Password, Tony said quietly. Let's try. J. Edgar. Access not allowed. Okay, let's give Illuminati a shot. Access denied. Really? Tony said with a sigh. Try password. You have access. Unbelievable, Tony said, shaking his head. Downloading codes. Download. 50%. The fight where? The patio status. Compromised. Things were going wrong outside. A guest who was inebriated poked Hulk in the chest. Big guy. I asked for a medium well burger, but it's rare. Hulk cooked it. With rage, Hulk snarled. Eat it. The guest slurred. Do you know who I am? He flung the burger at Hulk. The patty hit Hulk's chest and bounced off. The music stopped. Hulk's eye moved. You threw meat at Hulk. Hulk took hold of the guest's collar. With one hand, he picked him up off the ground, put him down. A guard shouted as he pulled out a gun. Put him down, Hulk. The guest was thrown into the pool by Hulk. Splash. Gun. The guard yelled. Alarm triggered. The getaway where? Penthouse goal. Get out, quickly, Tony. We're burned. Peter cried over the radio, tossing his tray of sliders at a guard's face like ninja stars. I'm at 90%. Tony yelled back. Stop them. Peter turned the couch over. He shot his stun gun. Zap. Another guard fell. Hulk turned the grill over. The pricey carpeting got hot coals on it. Fire. Someone yelled. The sprinklers turned on. Hiss. The party developed into a wet, crazy mosh pit. Got it, Tony said as he took the USB device. Window. He ran to the window in the bedroom. There was glass from the floor to the ceiling. We're on the 40th floor, Peter cried as he ran into the room with Hulk behind him. We have parachutes. Tony threw them. Packs. Jump. Crash. Tony broke the window with a chair. They sprang out into the cool night air of Los Santos. They plummeted freely past the bright signs. Deploy. Whoosh. 3 parachutes opened. Red, Tony. Blue, Peter, and green, Hulk. They floated down toward the golf course. The arrival. The Los Santos Golf Club is where it is. Status. Codes safe. They fell onto the 18th fairway. Peter gasped, that was close, as he untangled himself from the chute. Did you get the codes? Got him, Tony said, holding up the drive. We can get to the Fib server and see Director Miller's digital footprint. And Hulk got a souvenir. Hulk brought up a silver dish of burgers he had saved from the mess. Good man, Tony said as he took a slider. We're going to need the energy. Tomorrow, we are going to break into the Fib building. The hard drives. The prepware. The agency mission. Set up and recover data. Franklin inserted the drive in when he got back to work. Franklin nodded and said, okay. These codes let us in through the back door. But the server room is on the 49th floor and is protected by Noose agents. We need something to take our minds off things, Tony replied. Alarm for fire? Too cliché, Franklin said with a smirk. We're going to use the service elevator. You go in as janitors again. You plant incendiary bombs on the roof. When they blow, the server room goes into lockdown. That's when you cut the glass. Peter asked, cut the glass? Franklin pointed to the roof and said, you're coming in from the outside. Rappel down. Cut the window. Get the hard drive. Rappel down to the ambulance. An ambulance? Tony raised his eyebrow. Franklin winked and said, best getaway vehicle in the city. Nobody stops a siren. Location: Pillbox Hill, Fib headquarters disguise. Cleaning staff status. Hidden goal: get Dr. Dre's information in the side mirror of the white van. Tony Stark, Iron God, looked at himself. He had on a gray jumpsuit with the name, Bob, sewn on the pocket. I made a time machine, Tony said quietly. I saved the universe, and now I'm Bob, the janitor. Bob is a good name, Hulk, Green Giant, commented as he squeezed into the rear of the van. His jumpsuit was designed just for him and was the size of a tent. It said, Tiny, on it. Peter, Webhead, was behind the wheel and had a Steve patch on. Peter practiced saying, we're here to clean the windows. Top floor. An order from the president. They drove into the service entrance. The guard looked at their clipboard, which Franklin had made. You're late, the guard said. The windows on 49 are dirty. Get to work. Access granted. The climb where? Roof access gear. A glass cutter and a rappelling harness. They used the service elevator to get to the roof. The wind blew about them, bringing the noise of traffic in the metropolis far below. Okay, Tony said as he opened the bag. Bombs first. He put 2 incendiary charges on the HVAC units. When these blow, Tony said, the fire alarm goes off, the server room locks down, and the shutters close. But, Peter smiled as he clipped into his harness and said, but we'll be outside. Hanging by a thread. They walked to the end, 50 stories down to the ground. Hulk doesn't like dangly rope, Hulk said, looking anxiously at the carabiner. Tony told him, it can hold 5 tons. Believe in the physics. Jump. They fell back and dropped. Whoosh, they slid down the glass front of the tall building. The wind howled. Peter turned over like Spider-Man. Show off, Tony said under his breath. They got to the 49th floor. They could see the server room through the glass. When the fire alarm went off, agents ran around in a panic. Wee woo wee woo. Now, Tony took out the glass cutter. Minigame. Cutting. He drew a circle on the glass. The cutter made a humming sound. Warmth. Cool. Heat. Tony muttered, don't break it. Just make it weaker. Pop. The glass circle fell in. Tony grabbed it with a suction cup. We're in. The room with the server floor 49 is where it is. Visibility. Low. Smoke. Goal. Find the hard drive. They swung inside the room. The floor was filling with smoke from the roof vents. The blazing red lights of the emergency lights lit up everything. Put on your gas masks, Tony said. They put on rebreathers. Find the drive, Tony said as he looked through the racks. Row B, server 4. Enemy. Fib agents. Agents came through the doors, coughing and waving their flashlights. People who shouldn't be here. Bang bang. Tony shot his stun gun. The main agent fell. Not lethal. Peter yelled as he webbed a guard to the wall with the stun gun's taser prongs. Hulk walked through the smoke like a monster in a scary movie. A gunman shot at him. Ping! Hulk took the agent's rifle and smashed it. Hulk roared, no guns inside. Rules for the library. Tony found the server. He plugged in the drive. Hacking. IP address. Target. 192.168.1.104. Got it, Tony said as he pulled the drive. Encrypted, but all of Dr. Dre's phone data is here. Peter cried, let's go. The news team is breaking down the door. The ambulance where? Ground floor medic disguise as an exit strategy. They used ropes to get the rest of the way down to the alley. An ambulance was waiting. It had been parked by Franklin earlier. Change. Tony told them. They removed the janitor costumes, which showed that they were wearing paramedic uniforms underneath. Peter hopped in the front and said, I'm driving. They sped out of the alley with their sirens blaring. Wee woo wee woo. The street was blocked by police cars. Be yourself. Tony cried from the rear. Peter didn't stop. He drove right into the barrier. "Emergency," Peter yelled over the PA. "Get out of the way. We have a very big patient." The police hurried to get their cars out of the way. The ambulance rushed by. "Wanted level." Flashing, the police AI didn't pay attention to them because they were in an emergency vehicle with sirens on. It was the best camouflage. Peter laughed and said, "It's working." "They think we're saving lives. Technically," Tony said as he stroked the hard disk, "we're saving a career." The studio place. Record A Studios. Dr. Dre is the client. They got to the studio. Franklin opened the door for them. Franklin inquired, "Did you get it? Safe and sound," Tony said as he handed over the drive. They entered the control room. Dr. Dre was at the mixing board with headphones on. Anderson .Paak was sitting on the couch. "Yes, Dre," Franklin said. "They found it." Dr. Dre turned around. He drove. He put it into the console. He hit a couple keys. A beat began to play, a lot of bass. Snares that are sharp. "Yeah. That's the one," Dre said, as the stiffness in his shoulders went away. "You guys did it." He turned to Tony. "Are you the mechanic?" "I'm the engineer," Tony said. Dre smiled. "Well, make this work." He turned the knob all the way up. Music. Falling Up, by Dr. Dre and Thurs. The studio shook. The bass was amazing. "This is loud," Hulk said with a smile, shaking his head. Tony said, "It's perfect." Dre got up. "Franklin, give the men their money." They worked hard for it. Mission passed. Prize. $1 million, VIP contract. The payment $333,333 for Tony Stark, $333,333 for Peter Parker Hulk. $333,333. Tony opened his account and saw that he had a cool million. 3 ways to split. "We can finally improve the agency." Peter remarked, "I want the armory. I saw a compact EMP launcher in the catalog. It stops cars right away." Hulk made up his mind. "I want snack bar." "Okay," Tony said. "But first, let's have a party." The short trip. Interlude. Where? LD Organics. Lamar's warehouse. Franklin and Lamar switch characters. Franklin stopped Tony as they were leaving the studio. Franklin said, "Before you go, Lamar needs a favor. It's about his herbal business, which is not on the books. Would you guys be interested in a different kind of trip?" "What kind of trip?" Peter wanted to know. Franklin gave them a bag of product. Franklin laughed and said, "A short one." The screen turned into a foggy haze. Switching characters. All of a sudden, Tony wasn't Tony anymore. He was Franklin Clinton. And Hulk wasn't Hulk. He was named Lamar Davis. "Yo, homie." "Lamar, Hulk," exclaimed as he looked at his long hands. "Why do I look like a beanpole? Where are my muscles?" Franklin, Tony, stared at himself in the mirror and said, "This is strange. I feel grounded." Lamar said, "Let's go to the stash house. We have to protect the product from the Vagos, but I forgot my gun, so we have to use magic." "Magic?" Lamar pulled out a machine gun and said, "Nah, I'm playing. We're going to shoot them. Sandy Shores, Ace Liquor is where it is." Caller. Ron, who is nervous vibe. Mess. Tony Stark, Iron God, looked at the dirty convenience store. The floors were nothing like the marble ones at the agency. "Why are we here?" Tony whacked a fly. "That suit costs $5,000. Peter, webhead, checked his phone and stated, Ron said it was urgent. Something about the troop and a chance to make money. Hulk, Green Giant, was already inside, getting a slushie. "The best flavor is blue." They went up the stairs to the apartment above the store that sells alcohol. There was a lot of smoke, loud music, and people who looked like they hadn't showered in 10 years in the room. NPC. Dax, leader of the Fooligans, violent hippie, fresh meat. A big man with a beard and a hat yelled as he jumped on the table. "Whoa," Peter stepped back. "Ron." Dax grabbed the scared conspiracy theorist. "Are these the mercenaries? The ones who stole from the Union Depository?" "They look like accountants." Tony said, "I'm an engineer." Dax laughed and drank a beer. "I don't care what you are." He said, "We are the Fooligans, we're taking over Blaine County. We're going to fill the streets with the purest acid this side of the Alamo Sea." Tony arched an eyebrow and said, "Acid? Chemical synthesis? That's interesting. But first," Dax said, pointing out the window. "We have pests. The Lost MC, they want their land back." Crash. A Molotov cocktail broke the window. "Party's over," Dax said as he grabbed a shotgun. "Let's kill some bikers." The gunfight place. Parking lot of Ace Liquor. The Lost MC is the enemy. Heavy rifle or assault shotgun as a weapon. They went outside. There were a number of bikers riding choppers in the parking lot. Dax screamed, "Protect the stash." Tony hid behind a garbage. Peter. "Get to the high ground. Hulk. Be the wall." Peter web zipped, grappled, up to the roof of the booze store. Thwack thwack. He shot his compact grenade launcher. The biker formation shook from explosions. Hulk was in the center of the street. A biker hit him with a baseball bat, for the Lost. Hulk caught the bat. He looked at it. Toothpick. He broke it in half and kicked the biker off his bike. Dax said, "I like this guy," and shot furiously into the air. "He has the spirit. The trip goal. Get the RV back." "Where?" "Miller's Fishery." Dax yelled, "They took my RV." "Get in the truck." "My lab, my mobile home." They all got into Dax's big, rusty Journey 2 RV. Dax screamed, "I'm driving." He drove like a madman, crashing through fences and cactus patches. Tony said, "This suspension is terrible," as he bounced around in the back. "I can fix this. I can put in a kinetic recovery system." Less talking, more shooting. Dax gave Tony a flare gun. "Tell the boys." They made it to the fishery. The Lost were putting containers aboard boats. "They're stealing the product." Tony and Peter jumped out. "Get off the dock." Tony utilized his railgun, which he got from the gun van. ZZZT crack. Before the boat could leave the dock, it blew up. "Physics!" Tony yelled. They locked up the RV. The Brickade location. The Freak Shop, new base, MTL Brickade 6x6 is the vehicle. The lab is the status. They took the RV back to the city and parked it in an empty warehouse under the expressway. Dax said, "Welcome to the Freak Shop." It was a psychedelic utopia inside. Lights that are neon. Graffiti. And in the middle, there was a huge, armored 6x6 truck. Dax hit the fender and said, "The Brickade 6x6. It's a beast, but it's empty. We need chemicals and tools." Tony went around the vehicle and said, "I can build a lab in here. I can make this the best mobile chemistry set in the world with ventilation, centrifuges, and automatic stirring. But we need the chemicals," Dax remarked. "We're going to derail a train that's coming through Sandy Shores. It's carrying industrial-grade precursors. Do you want to derail a train?" Peter inquired. "Is that safe?" Dax screamed, "Safety is for people who don't party." The heist on the train. Where? Palmer-Taylor Power Station mission. Take the chemicals method. Lift with a crane. They drove to the railroads. "Okay," Tony said. "We don't need to derail it. That's messy. We just need to stop it." "How?" "Hulk," Tony said, pointing at the tracks. Hulk was on the tracks. He got ready. Choo-choo. The freight train blasted around the corner. The engineer saw the big green thing and hit the emergency brakes. Sparks flew. Screech. The train hit Hulk hard. He fell back 10 feet, making tracks in the gravel with his boots, but he halted it. Hulk breathed heavily and said, "Train is stopped. Go. Go." Peter and Tony hopped onto the flatbed trucks. They found the tanks of chemicals. Get the cutter. The plasma cutter helped Tony cut the bolts. Item. Precursor chemicals X3. Dax exclaimed over the radio, "We have the juice. Bring it home." The lab setup. Where? Inside the Brickade roll. Mutt, chemist, acid production minigame. Tony set up the equipment in the Freak Shop. Peter put on a gas mask and exclaimed, "This is better than high school chemistry." "It's easy," Tony said about the minigame. "We speed up production by giving the acid a name. Select acid name. Asterisk bad trip asterisk Stark rave asterisk Hulk smash. Hulk voted, Hulk smash. Tony typed, "Stark rave it is." He pulled a lever. The machines made a humming sound. The vats started to bubble with green liquid. Tony said, "Production is live. We make $350,000 for each delivery." "That's a passive income stream." "Passive?" Peter asked. "Do we not have to shoot anyone?" Tony said, "We still have to deliver it." On motorcycles. While hippies were chasing them. But yes, mostly passive. The money mission complete. First dose done. The Brickade 6x6, free, and $500,000, first time bonus, are the prizes. Dax gave each of them a hug. Even Hulk. Dax exclaimed, "You guys are family now." "Family. Now, drink this." He gave them a bottle of green liquid. Peter sniffed it and said, "What is it?" "Don't ask," Tony said. "Just put it in the plant pot when he's not looking." They left the freak shop and went outside into the sun. "So," Tony looked at his list. "We are now a conglomerate because we have the agency, the submarine, and the acid lab." Peter asked, "What's next?" "Well," Tony said as he looked at his phone. "Warstock Cash and Carry has sent you a message. A mobile command center. An upgrade for the Avenger. A terabyte." Tony thought, "We need a nerve center. We need a nightclub. A place to park the oppressor and launch drones." "Is that a nightclub?" Peter asked. "Like, dancing?" "Like washing money," Tony said to correct, "and yes, I can dance. I have moves." Where to find? Maze Bank Foreclosures website goal. Buy a nightclub money. $2,500,000. In a pool, Tony Stark, Iron God, was in the freak shop, trying to ignore the scent of patchouli and acid. "We need a front," Tony stated as he looked through the postings. "A real business that deals in cash, a lot of cash. No one asks where the money comes from." Peter, webhead, asked, "A laundromat?" "Too Breaking Bad," Tony said, shaking his head. "We need something with style. Something with bass." He clicked on the Mission Row nightclub link. Asterisk name. Omega, Tony thought it sounded cool. Asterisk lighting. Dazzle. Asterisk dancers. Style 3. Asterisk storage. 5 floors below ground. Sold, Tony clicked. Buy. Get your bags ready, guys. We're going to work in the hospitality business. The beginning Mission Row is where the empty warehouse is. NPC. Tony Prince. A gay man status. Undergoing renovations. They got to the warehouse. It was a dusty shell. A man in a nice suit and glasses stood in the middle and yelled at a contractor on the phone. NPC. Gay Tony Prince. Legendary nightclub owner. "No," I said, "purple LEDs, not pink. Pink is so 2008, Gay Tony said, then hung up. He looked back to see the team. "You must be the investors," Gay Tony said. "I'm Tony Prince. But everyone calls me." "I know who you are," Tony Stark interrupted, offering his hand. "I'm Tony. This is the other Tony." "Two Tonys?" Gay Tony asked, raising his eyebrow. "This is going to be confusing. I'll be GT, you be New Tony." "I prefer the Tony," Stark responded. "But we can workshop it. Look." GT motion around the empty room. "We have the space. We have the license. But we have no staff, no booze, and no DJ. Solomon is flying in tonight. If we don't have a sound system by then, I'm ruined." "Again. We'll handle the setup," Stark said. "Peter, you're on staff. Hulk, you're on heavy equipment. Setup number 1. The festival bus location. Vinewood sign mission. Steal the sound system. Vehicle. The festival bus. The sound equipment is currently on a party bus in the desert, GT told me. Some hippies stole it for a rave. Go get it back." They spotted the bus parked near the Vinewood sign's enormous lettering. It was a neon nightmare, with a massive skull perched on the roof and speakers the size of a small vehicle. "It's loud," Peter exclaimed above the banging techno music. "Steal it," Stark commanded. Hulk got into the driver's seat. "Hulk likes skull," he snarled. He tossed the hippie driver out. Party over. He floored it. The bus was top-heavy. As they careened down Vinewood Hill's twisty dirt roads, the skull wobbled precariously. "Easy on the turns," Stark exclaimed from the roof. He was attempting to secure the speakers. "Center of gravity. Enemy. The lost MC bikers emerged, attempting to retake their party bus. "We have critics," Peter exclaimed, firing his up-end atomizer, a ray gun that launches cars. Zap! A guy crashed his motorcycle into a cactus. "I love this gun," Peter exclaimed, laughing. "It's non-lethal physics." They smashed the bus through the downtown streets, techno music blasting and sirens blaring, until they pulled into the nightclub garage. Setup number 2. The staff location. Tequila Lala Bar objective. Pick up the bouncer and the bartender. Next, GT replied, "We need people. My favorite bouncer, Marcel, is currently indisposed." They drove a stretch limousine to the dive bar. Marcel was outside, arguing with 2 large bikers. "I quit," Marcel exclaimed. "I'm going to work for a real club." The bikers grabbed him. "You ain't going nowhere." Hulk, Green Giant, got out of the limo. He donned a tuxedo t-shirt. "Excuse me," said Hulk, tapping a rider on the shoulder. "He is with us." The biker turned around. He punched Hulk in the stomach. Thud. Hulk did not blink. He gazed down to his stomach. He then flicked the rider in the forehead. Flick. The rider flew backwards into the glass of the bar. "Anyone else?" Hulk inquired. The second cyclist ran away. "You're hired," Stark said as he opened the limo door. The grand opening location. Club Omega. DJ Solomon. Popularity, 100%. Night fell. The neon sign read Omega. The line outside went around the block. Inside, the bass was rattling the floors. Lasers sliced through the fog. Solomon was in the booth, dropping beats. Stark, Peter, and Hulk stood in the VIP section, overlooking the dance floor. "It works," Stark shouted above the music. "Look at the bar. Look at the entry fees. We're laundering $50,000 a day, completely passive." "And the basement?" Peter inquired. "That's the best part," said Stark, pressing a button on the wall. A secret elevator opened. The warehouse, real business, location. Basement level 1 vehicle, the Terabyte. They descended past the dance floor, the storeroom, and into the sub-basement. It was a high-tech nerve center. In the center sat a big, armored 6-wheeled truck. Vehicle. Terabyte, nerve center, mobile drone station. A woman wearing spectacles and holding a tablet was waiting. NPC. Paige Harris, the hacker. "About time," Paige said, rolling her eyes. "This is the Terabyte. It links all your businesses. The bunker, the hangar, the coke lockup, the acid lab. You can launch operations for all of them from this truck. No more driving across the map. Centralized command." Stark observed the touchscreens inside the truck. "Efficient. And," Paige said, pointing to the back of the truck. "It houses a specialized vehicle. The Pegassi Oppressor Mk2. There it was. A flying motorcycle with a jet engine and homing missiles is known as the broomstick. We bought one," Peter said. "Those are the griefers' favorite weapon. We're going to use it for good," Stark said. "Rapid response. Travel time cut by 80%. Hulk cannot fit on the bike," Hulk said, frowning at the little seat. "You get the truck," Stark said, tossing him the Terabyte keys. "You drive the mobile command center. Peter and I fly. The passive income system location, nightclub office. Manager. Tony Stark." They headed back up to the office. Stark sat at the computer. Nightclub management, * technicians are assigned to sporting goods, bunker, South American imports, coke, and pharmaceutical research, meth. * accrual is automatic. * safe. Collecting $50,000 every 48 minutes. "This is it," said Stark, leaning back. "The engine is running. The money is cleaning itself. We can finally focus on the real threats." "Real threats?" Peter inquired. "Like aliens. Worse," said Stark, pointing at the TV in the corner. "Merryweather Security has announced a partnership with the IAA. Project Overthrow is a go. Merryweather is back," Stark said, narrowing his eyes. "And they're privatizing the entire military. Location, LSIA hangar. Vehicle, Mammoth Avenger, upgraded, contact Charlie Reed. Objective, Project Overthrow." Tony Stark, Iron God, entered the hangar and looked at their Avenger, a gigantic tilt-rotor beast. "It needs an update," Tony remarked, stroking the hull. It's 2017 tech. I need 2023 tech. A mechanic wearing a grease-stained helmet emerged from beneath a plane. NPC. Charlie Reed, ace pilot, leader of the Los Santos Angels. You're the guys who robbed the Union Depository? Charlie washed his hands. I'm Charlie. I run the Los Santos Angels. We hit Merryweather where it hurts, and right now, it hurts in the wallet. What's the job? Peter, Webhead, said, examining the flight suit Charlie had handed him. Merryweather has a new prototype, Charlie said, pointing to the blueprint on the workbench. The F-160 Raiju. Stealth fighter. VTOL, faster than a laser. More agile than a Hydra, and they're showing it off at an airshow today. A stealth jet? Tony's eyes brightened. I want it. Then let's steal it, Charlie said, grinning. Welcome to Project Overthrow. The airshow location, Fort Zancudo Airspace. Mission, on parade. Status. Infiltration. They flew the Avenger to the border of the military base's airspace. Okay. Charlie told them over the radio. The Raiju is currently performing a test flight for potential buyers. It's doing a quantum leap maneuver over the Alamo Sea. You need to intercept it midair. Intercept? Hulk, Green Giant, inquired from the turret seat. Hulk jump? No, Tony replied. We hack it. Peter, get us close. Match its speed. Peter piloted the Avenger, matching speed. 150 knots. Ahead of them, the F-160 Raiju was a blur of gray steel. It created a vertical loop, defying physics. That vector thrusting is incredible, Tony remarked. Deploy the hack. Hacking. Flight computers, progress, 20%. 50%. They see us, Peter cautioned. Merryweather escorts inbound. Enemy. P-996 laser jets X-4. Defend the bird, Charlie exclaimed. Hulk spun the Avenger's top turret. THOOM. Explosive bullets ripped through the heavens. A laser exploded, creating a cloud of flames. Hack complete. Tony exclaimed. The pilot is ejected, the jet is drifting. Who's going to fly it? Peter wondered. I am, Tony said as he opened the rear ramp. I've been waiting for this. The drop objective. Secure the prototype. Tony dove from the Avenger. He free-felled toward the drifting stealth airplane. Jarvis, light. Calculate trajectory. He pulled his chute at the last second and landed precisely on the Raiju's fuselage. He scrambled into the open cockpit. Hello, beautiful, Tony said quietly. He pulled the cover closed. The HUD sprang to life. System. Online. Mode. VTOL. He pressed the accelerator. The jet shrieked and stabilized instantaneously. Control, this is Iron God, Tony radioed. I have the package. And wow, this thing moves. The Canyon Run location. Raton Canyon. Threat. Air defenses. Mode. Stealth. Merryweather has SAM sites all over the canyon, Charlie stated. If you go above the ridgeline, they'll lock on. Engage stealth mode. Tony flicked a switch. The weapons bay was closed. The radar signature disappeared. Stealth mode active. I'm a ghost, Tony said, grinning. He dove into the canyon. The walls of granite flew past him at 200 miles per hour. He swirled around the river bends, the jet reacting immediately to his touch. Beep beep. Lock on, Jarvis cautioned. Missile inbound. Flares. Tony popped countermeasures. Pop pop, the rocket detonated harmlessly behind him. You're too high, Peter exclaimed from the Avenger, which was flying high cover. Get lower. Tony pressed the stick forwards. He was skimming the water at the Zancudo River. Spray rose up behind the jet's exhaust. I can see the fish. Tony said, laughing. This is flying. The dogfight location. Sandy Shores objective. Clear the skies. He emerged from the canyon. A squadron of Merryweather lasers was waiting. Time to test the guns, Tony said, disengaging stealth mode. The weapons bay opened. Weapon. Explosive cannons. He executed a high G turn, flipping the jet around to face his pursuers. BRRRRRRT. The dual explosive cannons destroyed the lead laser. He shifted to the VTOL mode. The jet paused in midair, hovering like a helicopter. The hostile jets flew directly by him. "Brakes," Tony said. He swiveled the plane and launched missiles at their tails. Boom. Boom. "Clear skies," Tony declared, bringing her home. The hangar location: LSIA hangar. Reward: F-160 Raiju. Trade price unlocked, plus $50,000. Tony landed the jet vertically in the hangar. The landing gear landed with a quiet clank. He climbed out and patted the nose cone. "We're keeping it," Tony announced. "I don't care what Charlie says. I'm painting it hot rod red." "Hulk wants to ride," Hulk said, glancing at the tiny single-seat cockpit. "Hulk can sit on wing?" "Absolutely not," Tony answered. "This is a precision instrument. You stick to the Avenger." Charlie walked over and clapped. "Not bad for a mechanic," Charlie remarked. "Merryweather is furious. They just lost their flagship prototype. But this is just the beginning. They're moving something big through the docks tomorrow." "Something nuclear." "Nuclear?" Peter froze. "Again?" "Not a bomb," Charlie said. "Fuel rods, for a private reactor. If they get that online, they'll be untouchable. We need to steal it," Tony added. "Or sink it." Location: Pacific Ocean, International Waters Mission. LSA Operations. Direct Action Target: the USS Lexington. Objective: secure nuclear fuel rods. Charlie Reed gestured to the tactical map on the Avengers interface. "The Lexington is sailing dark," Charlie explained. "No transponder. No lights. Merryweather is offloading nuclear fuel rods onto the deck for transport to the mainland. If those rods reach the city, they can build a dirty bomb, or worse, a reactor that bypasses all regulations. We can't let that happen," Tony Stark, Iron God, said as he zips up his flight suit. "I'll take the Raiju. I'll clear the air defenses. Peter, you fly the Avenger. Hulk, you're the ground team." "Hulk is water team?" "Hulk, Green Giant," inquired, gazing at the ocean. "Deck team," Tony clarified. "You drop in. You smash. You secure the package. The stealth run vehicle, F-160 Raiju. Stealth mode, pilot, Tony Stark. Status: Ghost." Tony launched the Raiju from the hangar. He flipped the stealth switch immediately. The jet's signature disappeared off the radar. Tony murmured, "Approaching target. Visibility is low. Fog bank." Through the mist, the huge silhouette of the aircraft carrier appeared. It was a stronghold at sea. Anti-aircraft guns surveyed the sky. "They have radar-guided flak," Jarvis, Light, stated. "Stay below 500 feet. Tony skimmed the waves. The Raiju remained silent. He pulled up directly over the carrier's bow. Decloaking in 3, 2, 1. Stealth mode is off. Weapon active. Whoosh. Tony hauled up vertically. He latched on to the 4 turrets. Fox 2. 4 missiles sped away. Boom 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 boom. The turrets erupted in a cloud of sparks. Air defenses are down. Tony screamed. "Avenger, you are clear for drop." The drop vehicle, Mammoth Avenger. Pilot: Peter Parker. Payload: the Hulk. The enormous Avenger roared from the skies, rotors slanted forward. "Drop zone in sight. Peter, Webhead," exclaimed over the intercom. Opening rear ramp. The ramp lowered. The wind howled in the cargo hold. Hulk stood on the edge. He was not wearing a parachute. Hulk. Smash. He jumped. He plunged 200 feet, aiming for the flight deck. Crash. He landed in a Superman position and cracked the reinforced steel deck. A group of Merryweather mercenaries paused and stared at him. "You are unauthorized," Hulk hissed. He charged. He did not use a gun. He took a parked forklift and swung it like a baseball bat. Clang. 3 mercenaries flew overboard. The interior location, Hangar Bay. Objective: find the fuel rods. Tony landed the Raiju on the cleared deck. VTOL mode made it appear easy. He leapt out and joined Hulk. "Peter, keep the Avenger in hover mode." Tony ordered. "Provide air support." Tony and Hulk broke through the elevator doors. They descended to the hangar bay. It was a vast space packed with containers and missiles. Enemy. Merryweather Heavy, a juggernaut in bomb disposal armor, obstructed the road. He spun up a minigun. Cover, Tony exclaimed. He slid behind a crate of ammunition. Bullets chewed up the floor. Hulk. Flank him. Hulk dashed along the wall, leaping over a parked airplane. He landed behind the juggernaut. Hello. He took the juggernaut's ammo pack and ripped it off. The minigun stopped rotating. Oh, the mercenary said. Hulk kicked him into a stack of oil barrels. The payload location. Server room or storage item. Nuclear container. They found it. A lead-lined container with radiation symbols. It's heavy, Tony said, scanning it. Lead shielding. Uranium cores. If we drop this, we all get superpowers. Or cancer. Probably cancer. Hulk carry, Hulk said as he took the container. He grunted. Is. Very heavy, it weighs 2 tons, Tony said. Move it to the elevator. We need to extract. Suddenly, the ship's alarm sounded. Self-destruct sequence initiated, said a programmed voice. 10 minutes to scuttle. They're sinking the ship, shouted Peter over the radio. With you on it. They'd rather nuke the ocean than let us have it, Tony realized. Run. The extraction location. Flight deck. Status. Chaos. They burst onto the flying deck. The carrier was leaning to the side. Explosions rocked the hull. Peter, we need a pickup. I can't land, Peter exclaimed. The deck is tilting too much. The Avenger will slide off. Hover low, Tony instructed. We'll jump for the ramp. The Avenger floated 10 feet above the tilting deck. The ocean churned beneath. Hulk gripped the nuclear canister in one arm. He stared at Tony. You go, the Hulk snarled. Hulk throw. Throw what? Throw. You. The Hulk grabbed Tony by the back of his flight suit. Wait. No. Whoosh. Hulk hurled Tony into the Avenger's open ramp. Tony tumbled inside, safely. Then Hulk inspected the container. He squatted. He roared. He tossed the 2-ton container in the air. It flew into the cargo hold. Now Hulk leapt. With one hand, he grabbed the ramp's edge and dangled over the sea. Pull up, Peter. Pull up, the Avenger roared, its engines screaming, as it pulled away from the doomed carrier. Behind them, the USS Lexington groaned. A tremendous explosion burst through the hull, and the enormous ship began to sink into the sea. The debrief location. LSIA hangar. Reward. $75,000, LSA operation. Plus trade price for Avenger upgrades. They arrived back in Los Santos. Charlie Reed assessed the container. You crazy bastards, Charlie said, laughing. You actually stole it. Merryweather is going to be furious. Their stock just plummeted. Let them be furious. Tony wiped the grime from his cheeks. We have the fuel. We have the jet. We have the power. What do we do with nuclear waste? Peter inquired, gazing at the burning container. We store it, Tony remarked. In the facility, next to the orbital cannon. It might come in handy for science, or for blowing up aliens, Hulk added. Speaking of aliens, Tony said, looking at his phone. I just got a weird text. From a guy named Omega. He says he found spaceship parts. Actual spaceship parts. Please no, Peter moaned. Not aliens. I hate aliens. It's probably just a hippie in the desert, Tony remarked. But first, we need to deal with our legitimate business. The salvage yard. Salvage yard? Yusuf Amir called. Tony smiled. The Arab real estate mogul from Liberty City. He wants to steal cars. But not just steal them. He wants to chop them up. Location. The agency's office caller. Yusuf Amir. Vibe. Gold-plated. Tony Stark, Iron God, picked up the phone. The caller ID simply said $. Tony, my brother from another mother. Said a voice filled with joy and possibly too much espresso. It is I, Yusuf Amir, from Liberty City, remember me? The golden helicopter? No, doesn't matter, Yusuf, Tony said, smiling. The man who plated a subway train in gold. How are you? I am fantastic. But my cousin, Jamal, he is in Los Santos. He needs guidance. He needs a partner with vision. We are getting into the car business, Tony. But not selling them. Chopping them, a chop shop? Peter, Webhead, inquired, listening in. Isn't that petty theft? It's recycling, Tony explained, aggressive recycling. Yusuf wants us to buy a salvage yard. We steal the cars, strip the parts, sell the scrap. It's sustainable crime. The salvage yard location: Murrieta Heights, Red's Auto Parts price: $2,690,000. Condition: greasy. They drove up to the rusting chain link fence. The sign advertised Red's Auto Parts, but the spray paint read, "Keep out." Inside, a young man in a tracksuit paced uneasily. NPC: Jamal Amir, Yusuf's cousin, the nervous wreck. You're here. Jamal sighed, relieved. Yusuf said you were legends. He said the guy in the green is a force of nature. Hulk, green giant, examined a crushed vehicle. He prodded it. The door had fallen off. Car is broken. That's the point. Jamal smiled. We strip it. Engines, transmissions, catalytic converters. But the real money? The robberies. Yusuf has a list. High-end cars. Impossible targets. We steal them intact, we sell them to him. And what about the yard? Tony asked, kicking a tire. How do we make this look legitimate? The tow truck, Jamal said, gesturing to a rusting behemoth in the corner. You tow illegally parked cars. The city pays you. We strip the cars on the side. Passive income. The tow job vehicle, vapid towing truck, beater, mission, enforcement. Target: illegally parked Banshee. I'll drive, Hulk said, squeezing into the taxi. The suspension creaked. Hulk is Repo Man. They drove into the city. A bright orange Banshee was parked in a red zone outside a luxury hotel. Hook it up, Tony said from the passenger seat. The Hulk reversed. Clang. He hit the bumper. Gently, Hulk lowered the boom. He linked up the Banshee's front wheels. He lifted it. Hulk has prize. As they drove away, the owner fled the hotel. That's my car. Do you know who I am? You are. Pedestrian, Hulk grumbled, mashing the gas. They dragged Banshee across traffic. The automobile swung wildly on the hook, crashing into lampposts. We're going to lose value, Peter exclaimed from the rear of the vehicle. It's for scrap, Tony chuckled. Dents don't matter. The planning wall location: salvage yard office. Target: Gran Turismo Omaggio. Mission: gangbanger robbery. Client: King Tiny. Back in the yard, Jamal removed the tarp from the planning board. Okay, first big job, Jamal muttered. The Gran Turismo Omaggio. A masterpiece of Italian engineering, currently owned by King Tiny, the Balla's leader. Where is it? Tony inquired. Inside the Mission Row police station, Jamal grumbled. It's in the impound lot. But King Tiny is in the holding cell. He won't give up the location unless we break him out. Breaking into a police station? Peter grumbled. Again? Not just break in, Tony observed the idea. We need a helicopter. We need to gas the vents. We need to extract a gang leader and his car from the most secure precinct in the city. Sounds like Tuesday, Hulk cracked his knuckles. Setup number 1. The police Maverick location, Weasel News helipad. Objective: steal a helicopter. Gear: gas masks. To land on the roof, we need a police helicopter, Jamal said. There's one undergoing maintenance on the Weasel News building. They took the Oppressor Mk2, a flying bike. Tony flew up to the helipad. Guards are distracted. Jarvis, Light, observed, watching the game. Tony landed silently. He hotwired the helicopter. Whoop whoop whoop. Got the bird, Tony radioed. Now we need the gas. Setup number 2. The riot gear location, Textile City. Objective: steal tear gas. The station has vents, Tony said. If we flood the building with CS gas, the cops will evacuate. We need a crate of tactical gas grenades. They ambushed a Noose transportation vehicle. Enemy. Noose team. Flashbang out, Peter exclaimed, throwing a grenade. Bang. The agents were blinded. Hulk went in and grabbed the crate of gas. "Spicy air," said Hulk, sniffing the crate. "Make eyes water." "Don't open it," Tony advised. "That's our ticket inside." The robbery on Mission Row location. Mission Row PD gas masks provide no disguise. Status: loud. They landed the stolen police Maverick on the station's roof. "Drop the gas." Tony tossed the canisters into the ventilation units. HISSSSSS. Below them, anarchy broke out. Cops rushed out the front doors, gasping and choking. "Masks on," Tony demanded. They rappelled down the elevator shaft. The station was full of green smoke. The visibility was zero. Objective: find King Tiny. They passed through the cloud. Cell Block C. Tony looked at the map. They discovered King Tiny in his cell, with a damp rag covering his face. Tiny coughed. "You the rescue squad? Took you long enough." "Where's the car?" Tony yelled after unlocking the cell. "Impound garage," Tiny wheezed. "Basement level. Key is in the captain's office." The escape location: impound garage. Vehicle: Gran Turismo Omaggio. Target. They forced their way to the captain's office, snatched the key, and descended into the garage. There it was. Gran Turismo Omaggio. Sleek, red, and gorgeous. "Hulk, take Tiny in the helicopter," Tony commanded. "Peter, you ride shotgun. I'm driving the prize." Tony jumped in the Ferrari. The engine screamed into life, opening garage doors. The massive steel doors rolled up. A wall of police cruisers waited outside. Wanted level 4 STARS, showtime. Tony crushed it. The Turismo sped out of the garage like a bullet. He weaved through the barricade, skirting by a SWAT vehicle. "Get to the drop-off," Jamal cried into the radio. "The terminal at the docks." Tony activated the drift tuning module he had inserted. The automobile glided effortlessly around curves, scorching the tires. "This handling is insane," Tony said, laughing. "It's like driving on butter." He sped onto the interstate, avoiding spike strips and helicopters. The handoff location: terminal. Buyer: Yusuf Amir, cargo ship. Tony drove the automobile into a cargo container. The crane lifted it onto the cargo ship. Mission passed. Vehicle value: $395,000. Salvage value: bonus. Elite challenge completed. Yusuf appeared in the video call. "Beautiful, magnificent. The car is safe. The money is wired. We are kings, Tony. Kings of the scrap heap." "Kings of the scrap heap," Tony said, staring at the filthy salvage yard. "It has a nice ring to it. Can we keep the tow truck?" Hulk inquired. "Hulk likes crushing cars." "Sure, big guy," Tony replied, patting the rusting hood. "The tow truck stays." Location: Vespucci Police Station. Caller: Vincent Effenberger. Status: LSPD Officer, Rogue. Tony Stark, Iron God, reclined against the brick wall of the police station. He felt out of place. Usually, he was the one arrested here. A police cruiser pulled up. Vincent stepped out, dressed in the regular LSPD outfit. He appeared exhausted, but determined. NPC: Vincent Effenberger. Former casino security, honest cop, Stark. Vincent nodded. "Thanks for coming. I know we have history, but I need professionals. You're a cop now?" Peter, Webhead, inquired, seeing the badge. "I thought you hated the police." "I hate corruption," Vincent corrected. "And the LSPD is drowning in it. There's a new cartel in town. They are moving cocaine by the ton. And they are doing it through a legitimate business." "Which one?" Hulk, Green Giant, inquired, munching a bucket of fried chicken. Vincent pointed at the bucket. "Cluck and Bell." Hulk stopped munching. He gazed at the drumstick. He stared at Vincent. Vincent revealed that the plant in Paleto Bay is a front. The cartel distributes its products using farm trucks. Cops are paid to look the other way. I want to shut them down. Permanently. A raid on a chicken factory, Tony remarked. This is ludicrous. It is risky. I'm in. Mission 1. Slush Fund. Location: La Puerta. Money laundering front's objective: hit the dryers. Vibe: smash and grab. First, we hit their wallet, Vincent explained. They wash their money in actual washing machines in laundromats throughout the city. Go in. Smash the machines. Steal the dirty money. They arrived at the first location, a typical laundry in Davis. Tony instructed them to put on masks. They kicked in the door. The cartel members inside were folding clothing and counting cash. Laundry day is cancelled, Peter yelled, securing a guard to the wall. Objective: steal cash. Hulk stepped up to an industrial dryer. It was spinning with wet dollars. Hulk hate doing laundry. He ripped the door off the machine. Water and cash poured out. Grab it. Tony held an open duffel bag. They hit 3 areas in quick succession. Smash, grab, move. Cash recovered. $500,000. Good, Vincent radioed. You've got their attention. Now we need gear. Mission 2. Breaking and entering. Terabyte. Stolen. Objective: steal the hacking device. Vincent said that the cartel uses high-tech hacking devices to breach manufacturing protection. It is currently on a terabyte operated by a competing crew. Find the truck. Steal the laptop. They discovered the terabyte parked beneath the expressway, guarded by drones. I'll handle the tech, Tony said, deploying his own nano drone. Tony murmured, I'm in, as he flew the drone into the terabyte ventilation shaft. Hacking the door lock. Zap. The rear door opened, and Hulk raced in, exclaiming, clear. The opposition crew had no chance. He grabbed the laptop. We have the key, Tony stated. Now we need a way onto the farm. Mission 3. Disorganized crime. Location: Paleto Bay train tracks. Objective: disrupt the supply rail vehicle. Stealth annihilator, optional. The cartel transports supplies to the factory via freight train, Vincent explained. If you hijack the train signals, you may halt it directly outside the loading dock. Then you sneak in. They flew north to Paleto Bay. Peter stated, I need to get on board to plant the hack, as the train moved quickly. Fly low. Tony flew the helicopter beside the moving train, exclaiming, jump. Peter jumped off the skid and landed on the roof of a boxcar. He precariously perched as the train turned a bend. Hacking the signal box. Peter typed into his wrist computer. Hacking. 100%. The train's brakes squeaked. It came to a standstill right outside the Cluck and Bell factory gates. We're set, Peter said as he leapt off. The Trojan horse is ready. Setup. The getaway location, garage options, vehicles and weapons. At the station, Vincent discussed the alternatives for the finale, including a getaway car and firearms. I've hidden some confiscated goods about the city, you decide. Option A, stealth, asterisk vehicle. Déclassé Impaler SC, sedan, asterisk weapons. Suppressed pistol, combat MG asterisk equipment. Heavy armor. Option B. Loud, asterisk vehicle. Bravado Gauntlet Interceptor, also known as Hellfire Police Cruiser. Weapons. Assault shotgun and compact grenade launcher. Asterisk gear. Juggernaut suit, light. I want the Interceptor, Tony said, pointing to a photo of a powerful police vehicle. I've always wanted to drive a cop car without being arrested. Loud it is, Vincent sighed. Try not to level the factory. I need evidence. The raid begins. Location: Paleto Bay, Cluck and Bell factory. Time: dusk. Vehicle: the train, Trojan horse. The team concealed inside an empty rail compartment. The train moved gently into the manufacturing yard. Stay low, Tony said quietly. We wait for the stop. The train came to a halt inside the compound. Guards carrying assault guns monitored the cargo dock. Okay, Tony said, checking his combat MG, on my mark. We cleared the dock. We found the cocaine. We found the boss. And the chicken? Hulk inquired. If you find any non-narcotic chicken, Tony muttered. You can keep it. Hulk is ready. Mark. Tony slammed open the train doors. Rat-tat-tat. The raid was on. Location: Paleto Bay, Cluck and Bell factory. Mission: the finale vehicle, Bravado Gauntlet Interceptor. Stolen objective: clear the factory. Tony Stark, Iron God, reviewed the holographic map on his wrist in the dark train car. Okay, He muttered. The layout is straightforward. The ground floor is for processing. Conveyor belts. Crates. Lots of coverage. The second floor houses the office. That's where the boss is. And the safe. Hulk is. Hungry, Hulk, Green Giant, gazed at a crate marked, chicken parts. Do not eat the evidence, Peter, Webhead, advised, holding his combat MG against his chest. Remember Vincent's rule. Destroy the cocaine, steal the cash. Showtime, Tony said, kicking the lever. Clang. The hefty sliding door to the train car rolled open. The slaughterhouse location. Loading bay status. Ambush, surprise inspection. Tony shouted as he stepped out with his heavy rifle. Blam blam. A supervisor cried. Alarm. From the catwalk, as two guards on the platform plunged before raising their radios. Alarm triggered, reinforcements are inbound, sirens cry. Tony commanded, move up, as red lights strobed, sending long, ominous shadows over the factory floor. Use the cover. They moved forward through the maze of conveyor belts. This is disgusting, Peter said, crouching behind a pallet of feathers as plucked chickens dangled from hooks like ugly pendulums. He launched a grenade at a group of cartel sicarios. Thump boom. Hulk make. Nuggets. Hulk seized the forklift. He did not drive it. He chucked it. The huge machine collided with a stack of crates, burying 3 guards behind a mound of frozen poultry. Office location. Second floor. Objective, the safe and the keys. They fought their way up the metal stairs to the office, which overlooked the floor. Tony kicked in the door as the cartel lieutenant was hurriedly shredding documents. Hand over the keys to the interceptor. The lieutenant drew his gold-plated handgun. PFF'd. Peter secured his hand on the desk. He said keys, not gun. Tony took the key ring from the desk. He broke the safe. Loot $500,000, slush fund, cocaine destroyed, money secured, Tony said as he collected the cash. Drugs are neutralized. Vincent will be satisfied. Now let us get out of here. The escape location. Factory garage. Vehicle. Bravado Gauntlet Interceptor. They dashed down the rear steps toward the garage. There it was. The Gauntlet Interceptor. It was a beast of a police vehicle. Black and white. Bull bar. Light bar. Supercharged V8. I'm driving. Tony slid over the hood, exclaiming, shotgun. Peter called. Hulk squeezed into the backseat. Hulk is. Suspect. Tony turned the key. The engine made a deep growl that rattled the garage walls. Let's light him up. He flicked the switch. The red and blue lights flashed. The sirens wailed. Wee woo wee woo. The garage door opened. A convoy of cartel SUVs was waiting, ramming speed. Tony crushed it. The heavy bull bar smashed through the lead SUV, causing it to spin into a ditch. The highway chase takes place on the Great Ocean Highway. Destination. Los Santos threat. Corrupted police. Noose. They sped onto the highway and headed south. But they were not alone. Wanted. 4 stars, corrupt cops. Vincent issued a warning over the radio. They know you attacked the factory. They're sending Noose teams. Tony grinned and shifted gears. This car was built for this. A police vehicle attempted to pit maneuver them. Tony slapped the brakes, causing the cop to whiz by, before accelerating again. Peter. Stickies. Peter leaned out of the window. He threw a sticky bomb at the pursuing cruiser. Click. Boom. The cop car flipped into the ocean. Hulk. Weight distribution and Hulk lean. Hulk leaned left as they made a fast curve at 120 miles per hour. The automobile hugged the asphalt. They weaved through traffic while sirens blared, past the military base, through the tunnel, and into the city boundaries. The delivery location. Vincent's lockup. Strawberry reward. $500,000 plus the interceptor, unlock. They parked in the inconspicuous garage beneath the freeway. Vincent was waiting. You made it, Vincent remarked, impressed. And you brought the car back in one piece. Mostly, Tony stroked the scuffed fender. It has character. Vincent took the sack containing cash. He handed them the cut. Mission completed, payout. $500,000, standard, plus $250,000, first-time bonus. Unlock Bravado Gauntlet Interceptor. You kept the evidence? Vincent inquired, glancing at the chicken bucket Hulk was still clutching. Hulk got hungry, he shrugged. Keep it, Vincent smiled. You've earned it. The factory has been shut down. The cartel has been broken. And the LSPD. Now they have one less corrupt captain. Purchase location. Warstock cash and carry website status. Purchasing the dream. Tony instantly pulled out his phone. Buy it now. Tony pressed the button. Purchased. Bravado Gauntlet Interceptor. Price. $4,065,000, trade price unlocked. $4 million for a police car? Peter choked on the Coke. Mr. Stark, we could feed a small country with that. It has a Hemi, Tony explained. Take a look at the customization options. I can customize it with the Cluck and Bell livery, please don't. Too late. The epilogue location. The agency status. Retired, for now. They sat in the office and looked at the Empire map on the wall. Agency and Arcade are both active. Submarine is active, as is the Acid Lab. Nightclub is active. Asterisk salvage yards. Tony said, we own this city, leaning back and placing his feet on the desk. We have a passive income. We own military gear. We have a huge green monster. Hulk is happy, he added, wearing a new police cap he seized during the raid. So what now? Peter inquired. We've done everything. Not everything, Tony said, glancing at the fresh email message. Have you heard of bottom dollar bounties? Tony asked. Bounty hunting. A woman named Maud Eccles or her daughter, Jeanette. They require enforcement agents. Bail enforcement. Catching fugitives alive. Alive? Hulk asked, frowning. Hulk prefers smashing. We can smash a little, Tony said. But we get paid to bring them in warm. Let's do it, said Peter, standing up. Spider-Man doesn't kill, anyway. It's perfect. To the bail office, Tony said, grabbing his keys. Stay tuned for more. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. I'm thrilled you watched the video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe for even more exciting content coming your way soon.